But if we could be consistent, the idea that I just said, it could bring us that's connected over here in America. It could bring us all together, and we all together be wealthy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, let's try to go into social and walk that out, tech center, because the thing that we don't want to happen is that we set that up and then we don't have the opposite infrastructure to re-ingest the businesses as they're being sold to somewhere else, regardless if you're getting those set asides, because at the end of the day, the thing that we lack infrastructure, and you are right. We do lack consistency in the lens of people being in position to be hired to take over the business, to keep the businesses actually afloat, going, and passed down, and so forth. So I am of the mindset of, if we're going to create a foundation of systems, then we have to be able to make sure that we hold on to the businesses we create, because as it stands right now, we don't have a whole lot of Black American freedmen, ADOS, whichever you want to claim it. We don't have American descendant businesses that we can wholly say, oh, these are all by our hands, the people that built this country.
Yeah, and let me say this, because what happens is you build whatever business is going to be, you sell it off to a government or a private corporation, and then a few generations go by and you no longer have businesses, and then you are standing around wondering why you don't have businesses. Part of the reason is because you sold them off. The other reason is because you don't control the government, which actually can sustain businesses over time. All businesses go through periods of ups and downs. And in the downturn, Black American businesses get wiped out. All the other businesses are kept afloat because of governments, government funding to fund the gaps, government contracts, the banking industry, like all these different industries that work together to keep their businesses afloat. If we build institutions, whatever they may be, and with the mindset of selling them, moving to another state, selling them, move to another state, we're not actually building anything. We're just pursuing money. And then on top of that, if we don't control the governments in the states where we build these businesses, when we reach that funding gap, we're gonna lose everything, because we haven't taken the time to set the foundation, to control the government, which controls the wealth of the state, to actually be in a position to help these businesses survive economic downturns. The U.S. economy has cycles. I think it's every decade to every 30 years of a recession of some type. So this is a natural part of the U.S. economy that Black American businesses have not been able to weather, because we don't control the government systems that controls the funding, the banking, etc., to keep those other businesses afloat. It's all connected. And
I think there's one business, one business. The guys on Earn Your Leisure, they actually interviewed the family of I want to say it's Miss. I don't want to. I'm gonna mess their name up, the last name. But they are the same family that actually owns the appraisal program, and I didn't know that this woman. I have to post a link, but there is a family legacy of passing down this business so that it lives on. And it's amazing to hear a story like that. And those are the stories that we need. We need more of those. We need legacy and lineage businesses.
We also have the story of the Black owned families who make the buns for McDonald's. and they have been doing it for over 65 years. And that sounds about right, because that's about the time when Black people were allowed to be in the corporate, parts of like major corporations.
They make the bonds for the franchise, their franchise stores.
Yeah, for the McDonald's franchise, it's a black family owned this. They owned it for 65 years.
I mean, I can see McDonald's, allocating 10-15% of the bond, making their bonds to Black-owned companies. Many companies do this. They will set aside 10% or 15% of their business to Black-owned companies. A lot of companies do that.
Yeah, but all I'm gonna say is that we have come a long way from not even being allowed to even look at a white business and even think about going in there now, to even having some of our very own descendants of chattel slavery sit on boards of these big corporations. That's awesome. So that's what keep my flame burning to keep on doing.
What is going on tonight? We got the people coming in here with the Nick Jr. characters.
Nick Jr. That's after my time. I don't even know what the Nick Jr. characters look like.
That was Team Umizoomi and Tom and Jerry is from Tom and Jerry. That's not Looney Tunes. Is Looney Tunes?
Tommy.
No, Tom and Jerry is from oh my gosh, anime. Isn't that anime? Adventures? Oh my goodness, I have to look it up. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all keep talking.
Sorry, Warner Brothers.
Ah, there it is, Warner Brothers.
Okay, so I found the story of the Black father who started this bun making thing, New Horizons Baking. It says they supply baked goods to over 5,000 quick service restaurants, including McDonald's. Says he was in the baking industry since the 1960s. In 1995, he was offered to run this New Horizons Baking company, and then he got sole ownership. Blah blah blah. His daughter jumped on board in 2002, and then she became the CEO in 2017. They have 4 facilities, 500 employees. Blah 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 blah. I was trying to see if it would tell me how many of the stores they do indeed supply, but in this situation, when you first was relaying the story, in my mind I was thinking, well, McDonald's is like unto itself, a government unto itself. These large Fortune 500 corporations, they make more money than some countries, not even small countries. And so in that situation, it looks like a situation where you have a legacy corporation who is operating like a bank and operating like a government, and they are able to do what we could do for ourselves, again, as a Black majority state, for one individual Black business. That's like making it to the league. It's like becoming a professional NBA player. There's only so many spots, and in the corporate world, there's even less than that. So that is a great example, a shining example, but it's also one of those, if they can do it, you can do it examples that doesn't really match reality. Because if we had 1,000 Black baking companies, they're not all going to get a contract with a major corporation to make all their bread. But if we had, and again, that's just in the current system as it exists. But if we had 8 states and we had 1,000 Black baking companies, we could almost guarantee that in those 8 states that they're going to actually get contracts and they're actually going to all be able to eat and make a living doing what they love to do. which we can't guarantee scattered across 50 states. So the option is, as an individual entrepreneur, yes, you may be able to focus, drive, and anybody who has that focus and drive, go for it. Don't slow down, but understand that there are other people who are thinking about the whole collective, or as many of the collective as we can possibly bring along with us. And that requires a different strategy, a different process, where we're not chasing money. We're actually chasing politics so we can get to the money, because it's just a different mindset.
Hey, Black, so but go ahead, young lady.
I just wanted to say, like, if everybody got behind this and understood this mindset of we have to have the power, because we do have the power. We are more intelligent than we are, and that is what they were frightened of in the first place. That is why we were kept down and shut down. If we got ourselves up all together, all across the world, we could shut them down. And that's all I want to say.
Absolutely. Black American Homeland, it sounded like you wanted to say something, and then Tech.
Man, I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, no problem. Miss Rella, if you find that appraisal thing, let me know about it. I'd like to check into it. You got it, Tech.
Okay. The state of Delaware has a lot of property right now for real cheap, for like 5,000, like for a couple of acres, So I know that's the state that I hear you like talk about a lot. So, how many entrepreneurs do you think the black majority state is going to have so that it generational wealth will be, prevalent throughout the whole state? That's one question that I want to ask you.
That's a great question. So the state just crossed 1 million citizens sometime in like the last 6 months, and of that, a little over 250,000 are Black Americans. So we're about right around 24-25% of the state. And of that, and so let's take all factors into account. We're living in a democratic, liberal white state where the president of the Grand Dragon KKK is from. He was a senator there for decades, vice president for a decade at least. And so you have this bubble reality where there's all these, it's home to most of the major corporations in the country. And Black Americans are essentially locked out of a lot of opportunities. Now, there are more Black businesses than where I live, because here it's only 1% Black business ownership in the city of Pittsburgh. So there it's significantly higher. And I would love to know the percentages, but it's different, but it's not different by much, right? But if you have a situation where we can bring in enough voters to get control over the city of Wilmington, the county of Newcastle, and then we can get control over Dover, and then we can control over Kent County, and then at that point we can control the entire state from the state house. Then we can actually create entrepreneurs through government contracting that Black American Homeland talked about, through the creation of a state-based banking system that will fund property ownership and business ownership. And then we can start pressuring public-private partnerships with these corporations that are housed in Delaware, to help facilitate more growth and more businesses within the state of Delaware. And then as the governor of the state, you can start looking to foreign interest in terms of manufacturing vehicles. The state, I got this in the Jumbotron, Delaware State University is the first HBCU that has a helicopter pilot program. That's something that just happened there. So there's all these, there's infinite opportunities that you would have as a team of political legislators working together with the private Black business entrepreneurs in that state, as well as all of the contracting that possibilities that are there. So if we can move in 300 to 400,000 voters, there's a couple 100,000 there that would put us at, let's say, 600 to 700,000 of us. I don't see any reason why half of that population, of adults at least, could not have some form of business operating successfully within that state, and become a tourist attraction as well as other avenues, but use that state as the prototypical model. I personally would move to Mississippi, knowing that I have some federal senators and a U.S. rep at least to give me some level of support and protection in a different state, and then work on the process of making Mississippi look like Delaware as much as we possibly can, as quickly as we possibly can. So it is a process that ultimately moves the money from their hands, where they have total control, to a more equitable system to where everybody, us being the majority, have basic, general, equitable access. So all the gatekeeping goes away, and that we can have curriculum in the schools that can bring vocational. I got a post in here about how Texas is opening up vocation to essentially illegal Mexicans that are going to come out and have $90,000 to $150,000 jobs coming out of high school. So all the things that can be done, all the things that I wrote about in my book, all the things that we could possibly imagine are on the table when we have political control. If we just have control over a few businesses, yeah, that's what we're going to have control over, a few businesses. And in time, those businesses collapse because they can't survive the economic up and downs of the U.S. economy, and or they don't survive the generation, passing businesses from generation to generation. Most businesses passed to successive generations die by the third generation. And that's across the board. That's not just Black Americans. That's just all businesses in America. But in Black America, it's probably a very, very high percentage of those that fail by the time they get to the third generation. So if you have all of these political powers and authority in place, and you have corporation structures where you have board of directors, so that even though it's a family business initially, at some point it becomes more of a corporation and it starts to act like a corporation, and then that business can then survive for hundreds of years, as long as it's a successful business that caters to its customer base. So I hope that kind of answers it. I see that you dropped down or whatever, but I hope that does give a good answer for that. Nikki.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to add to it. You guys heard of legal monopolies, public utilities, I can't even pronounce essential services, right? I'm talking about electricity companies, telephone companies, your sewage treatment plants, your water treatment plants, your waste disposal companies, your sanitation companies, right? All of these type of businesses are chartered and regulated by the state, right? And usually there's not a lot of these businesses, and the state grant these businesses monopoly within the state. So these companies never go out of business. They will always have a consumer base because they are like there's only 2 or 3 companies. It might be 2 or 3 electricity companies in a region in the Black American homeland. So these are essential services that have a monopoly of the consumer market, and these businesses will last for 50, 100, 200 years as long as they have the support and the support of the state. To me, that's what I advocate for: public utility companies and legal monopolies, and control of essential services that everybody needs within the state and region of state.
Okay, so you're saying you want to have public utility commissions that control the utility services, essentially?
Okay, good example. Okay, all the electricity companies in the state, right? They control. What's a good example? Oh my God. Okay, the biggest company in Georgia, I think it's called the Southern Utility Company, and they have a monopoly in 3 or 4 states. I think South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, and a little bit of North Carolina, right? And they have a monopoly of all the electricity that service in that region, right? And the company's worth like 30, 40, 50 billion dollars, right? And they have, and you have to, everybody need electricity, and everybody has to go to that company to get electricity. So they're like a essential service that's a monopoly in the South. And the thing is, the state charter that company, but the state can also take away that monopoly if the state wants to. So let's see. What's another example? Your water treatment plant. They're all chartered by the state. Your waste disposal, your sewage company, your sanitation company. The guys that pick up your trash. Those all they're all chartered by the state.
Yeah, let me ask you this. So in my state, you have a power generator, but they have all these different companies that can sell the electricity at a cheaper rate. I still haven't really wrapped my mind around that, but they're able to pull electricity from different suppliers somehow, some way. They can sell it at a cheaper rate. They're always at Walmart or somewhere else trying to get you to sign up for this this cheaper electricity or whatever. So are you saying something?
To me, those are now. To me, what you're saying, those are more like contractors. Let's say you got 3 main electricity companies in the state of Pennsylvania, or maybe even 2, and then you have these other 10 sub electricity companies. They lease power from those 2. But the 2 main ones, those are the ones that have the monopoly within the state of Pennsylvania. So they will always make money. It doesn't matter if it's good times or bad times. Now those 10 sub electricity companies, maybe 3 or 4 will survive during a time where there's not a lot of business going on wherever, if you understand. But yeah, there's only a few companies. Like there's only 1 or 2 gas companies within the state. It's only 1 or 2 water treatment plants within the state. A telephone company. What's the name of the telephone company in the South? I just can't remember. I haven't been home in a while. There's only one company that provides landline in the South, or maybe two. But it has a monopoly of all the landlines in 6 or 7 states.
Are you talking about Bell?
Okay, AT&T is more like AT&T. Yeah, I'm talking about the Bell company. The Bells are the ones that deal with landlines and local calls. Correct. I'm talking about the Bell. And then one time, I remember in the 80s, you only had one Bell company, and then through antitrust, they were split up into like 6, 7, 8 different Bells.
Right.
Now they're back to 2 or 3 Bells again.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, those companies have a legal monopoly, and their profits are almost guaranteed.
Yeah. Okay, and you're saying that we should maintain that system, or we should break it up?
Well, this how we do. I say that we can break it up, or we change the legal status of that telephone company, right? And maybe we'll make it state owned.
No.
Then after that,
no.
We try to find
no.
corporation.
Yeah, because here's the thing. That state-owned companies is you starting to sound like a communist or a fascist or something.
No. There's a lot. See, believe it or not, a lot of these utility companies are state SEO, state owned enterprise. Almost every state has them. Almost. Do you know the Green Bay Packers? They are a public company. They were taken over by the state, and then the state sells stock to the people, to the fans of the people of the Green Bay Packers. I mean, believe me, man, all this is state government owned, or the state government with charters, or it regulates. To me, it's all state, man.
Yeah, but here's where the problem starts to set in when you have retirement plans. This is what kills a lot of that.
No, so we take care of that. We don't get rid of retirement plans.
Well, that's this is what I'm about to tell you. Legacy retirement plans, healthcare coverage. This is what straddles the state with all of this massive debt over time, is when you have these types of corporations that are essentially controlled by the state, as you're saying, and then the state is on the hook for retirement packages, healthcare coverage till people. I mean, it becomes more expensive than it's worth, and then you have to raise taxes or float bonds to cover those legacy costs behind situations such as that. That's what I'm saying. There's a component.
Right. Those are definitely special problems, right? But the thing is, the state can privatize, right, these monopolies, right? And when we privatize it, we sell to black-owned corporations, and the black-owned corporation, they can raise money through the like I told you, the Black American Stock Exchange that's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. That's how these black-owned corporations raise money to buy assets throughout the 8-state southern region.
Oh, I got kicked. Please don't tell me y'all shut me down, though. I got kicked out of the motherfucking space, bro. Damn, see? I got kicked out of that damn space, man.
Privatize it, and now it becomes private owned or public owned. When I say public, meaning that you have stock, stock owners, of the corporation.
Okay, so I understand now. Let me say this: I just got kicked out of the space, so I'm glad we got co-host.
Okay.
Let me say this: so a stock exchange, which I'm on board about that. We had at least one really detailed space about that. Man, it might be a year ago since now,
Right.
and I had a bunch of posts about it. But again, I know you see it as one landmass of a region of states, but I'm gonna be really, really upfront with you. The people in Delaware, because I mean, this is what we got to come to grips with this reality. The people who live in Delaware, who build Delaware and have their own thing going on up there, may not want to participate necessarily in a centralized market such as an Atlanta, Georgia market. They may want to have their own. They may want to have their own stock exchange in Delaware. Someone in Mississippi, they may want to have their own stock exchange. So I just want to lay that out there, like, to be flexible and understand that people are gonna want to do their own thing and not move necessarily as a unified. I mean, now we got to move unified on things that really, really matter, for sure.
Right.
Coordinate things, an association of governors and or a caucus of or federal representatives. But when it comes to that, like, daily, what's going on within the state, I think you're going to find that people are going to just kind of want to do it the way that they want to do it, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. But look, this is the reason why it has to be like a regional stock exchange, because the SEC, right, for them to give their blessing to this black-owned stock exchange that's in the South, they might say, okay, you got to have $1 trillion worth of capitalization. So no single state, I don't believe, is going to be able to come up with $1 trillion. But 8 state southern region, you got the 8 states, they pool their money, then they will be able to come up with $1 trillion, even $2 trillion. That's why I say it's going to be one stock exchange. Look, don't forget, you only got you got the NASDAQ and you got the New York Stock Exchange. Those are really, and there is a third stock exchange. I forget the name of it. But there's not a lot of, every state don't have a stock exchange. I think there's only 2 states. I think California and New York are only 2 states with stock exchange, because they have the capital to, they can raise like, 5 trillion, 10 trillion. But I believe the SEC, they're going to put a what's that word? A standard of at least $1 trillion to open up a stock exchange. That's why I say it's going to have to be in one state.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through my posts because what I'm off the top of my head, I remember a lot more than just a couple, and I think they were even in a specific area of like a commodity or something like that. So I'm trying to.
Oh, that's Chicago. Yeah, you're right. That's commodities. That's in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through it.
Yeah, the commodities exchange is in Chicago.
Yeah. Part of me says, the SEC. I kind of get that. Okay. Yeah. So it talks about, this is a regional stock exchange. Let me see what this is talking about. Oh yeah, I remember this. Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, the Pacific, Miami Stock Exchange, Pacific Stock Exchange, Boston Stock. This was on Investopedia when I looked this up. So it says there's 4 major regional exchanges that focus on a specific market.
So Chicago, LA, New York, and what's the 4th one?
Well, these are Boston Exchange, Philadelphia Stock Exchange, Chicago Exchange, and a Pacific Stock Exchange.
Okay, that's the name of it.
And then there's
a 3, to be honest.
There's a Miami Stock Exchange as well.
I didn't know anything about the Miami Stock Exchange. That's new.
Yeah.
Did they tell you what the capitalization of this Miami Stock Exchange?
Let me see. It says it's a hub of trading services for the G27. The 27 refers to 27 Latin American and Caribbean exchanges. So according to this is not.
That's different.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So no, they started a international exchange.
Yeah.
In Miami. That's very smart right there.
That's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. So that's not really a domestic exchange. That's an international exchange.
What that says, what that tells me is so here's what I would say, because again, being on that East Coast, Southeastern coast with those African countries over there, everybody, wants to every once in a while throw up the fact that, yeah, we can trade with these people. That tells me Black Americans would be in the driver's seat of setting up an exchange of some of these friendly, quote unquote, African diaspora, even Caribbean diaspora countries that we can put into an exchange and run things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely. And look, these African or these international countries, they would trust our exchange because we're regulated and by the SEC and the American government. They know that there's not going to be any fraud or if something something goes missing or goes wrong, they know that the American government would try to bail it out or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trust the stock exchange in an African country because other than South Africa, that's the only stock exchange I ever invested in was the South African stock exchange. It was called the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But yeah.
Awesome. I'm on board with that. I mean, that was actually a really good conversation right there. I'm more or less.
I think there's a limit. There's a limit that I don't know. Like now, if Miami was able to open up their own stock exchange, that meant they probably started with maybe $100 billion or $200 billion capitalization. I mean, I can see some of the bigger southern states, having $200-300 billion in capitalization. I can see that, but I can't see Mississippi. I can't see Alabama or South Carolina raising $300 billion. It's possible.
Yeah, that's interesting. So maybe what you would have is border states. Maybe you'd have 3 states that would come together because they share a border, and then they would set up something, and then 3 others would set up. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like that. Maybe there is a central one. All I was essentially saying to that was just kind of recognize that our people like to do different things. You know what I mean? That's just a natural part of who we are. As far as the public, as far as private ownership over public utilities, I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I don't think it should be across all 8 states or anything like that, but definitely, in terms of within a state, if you could separate a state into 4 quadrants even, and you had 4 different companies operating in each quadrant, where they had the capacity to send power to some of the other quadrants in case of some national disaster or whatever. I'd definitely be okay with something like that, because that would share the wealth around instead of it being in the hands of our opposition or whatever. So yeah. I mean, that all sounds good to me.
Can I interject? I just want to say one thing about the stock exchange. I don't want us, if we do at some point manage to do that with the power of a black state, I just want to point out one thing. It's the market capitalization is not that that important. It doesn't matter if the combination of black states are able to raise 100 million. I'm sorry, not 100 million, but I would say 10 billion or 200 billion. What's important is that the investors receive a good return. So, like the businesses that are being invested in within that stock exchange are highly productive, and that the investors receive a good return in those businesses that they invest in, and that's what would draw capital to that market. It doesn't have to compete with these already, these stock exchanges that already exist that have been around for 100 or so years. It just has to perform well on its own.
Absolutely. And another thing that's very important that I learned about investing is you have to make sure that the stock exchange has liquidity, because a lot of times when a stock exchange doesn't have liquidity, that can cause stocks to go down value because they just people just don't have the liquidity to buy or sell. So liquidity is very important.
Yeah, so back when I did that, I found this local exchange. I'm actually going to DM you this now, this article, and this was from like a major economic platform. But they talked about local exchanges, the next wave of community investment, or community economy building by Michael H. Schumann. And this kind of goes through the setting up, the benefits, etc., of having more localized stock exchanges. So if you get a chance to check that out, that was from that series of posts back then. Let me see. That was last year.
That's good. So you're saying that now if they come with a policy that they want to create more, local stock exchange, then that means the SEC will probably lower its capitalization to maybe 50 billion or 25 billion or even 20 billion.
Yeah, but let me say this. While that may be, the SEC may be a federal, that maybe they got some federal jurisdiction, but on the local state level, like it could be intrastate. It could be an exchange that just happens within the state, right?
Well, the only thing is when it comes to stock exchange, right? You're right. A state can charter and regulate a stock exchange. However, the SEC, you have to go through those guys first. I think those are especially when it comes to, I forget there's something that the SEC offers that the state can't offer. I can't remember offhand. It's just one little thing that makes it why you want to be under the regulation of the SEC, because it offers some type of surety or something. I forget I can't remember. But it is possible that a stock exchange is just regulated and chartered by the state. Then of course they're going to have different policies. And then this stock exchange probably have $50 million in capitalization. It can be very low. But the thing is, the liquidity also is going to be very low. 50 million is not a lot of money.
Well, let me throw this in there. They're called ETFs, exchange traded funds. Some of these are state based.
Oh, ETF. Oh yeah, ETF. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas and Oklahoma back in 2010 set up their own state based ETFs.
Those more like derivatives.
New Jersey state-based exchange transition. So there's some state-based
ETFs are a little bit different because they my understanding of ETF, they deal more with a specific sector. of you have gold ETF, you got silver ETF. They trying to come up with the Ethereum ETF and a Bitcoin ETF. So they're more of a particular sector.
Yes. So my understanding of ETFs is that a fund will buy a number of companies within a certain sector. So as that sector increases or decreases in capitalization, the fund increases or decreases.
Right.
So the ETFs have stock in those actual companies, and then you invest in those ETFs. So the more successful that sector is, the better the ETF does, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm finding something called BATS Global Markets. That's in Kansas, Lenexa, Kansas, a stock exchange. It's a global market. I don't know what that is. There's a bunch in Chicago, one in Boston.
I'm assuming that we're talking
City
about infrastructure in regards to getting this all going, right?
Right, we are. We talking about we need to help Black corporation.
Right. In order to even be associated with the stock exchange, you have to have a company that is that trades that makes a certain amount of income. Is that correct?
No. A good example. Let's say a new corporation is created, and the state or the region of the state, they guarantee a certain amount of a market to that new black owned corporation.
What would be the qualification? What would be the qualification to be considered?
The qualification would be that this corporation has a great team of CEOs and engineers or whatever, and it already raised a certain amount of money,
right?
And it's possible that this company can make profits.
So here's what I'm saying: we got to get people in the position to be we have to get people in a position to be those companies.
Right.
You understand? So, that's another. We really have to have these conversations in the social business world.
We talk about this.
Can I point one thing out? I just want to point one thing out when the discussion was on the SEC and how it related to actual markets and why it would be better to have a market that's overseen by the SEC versus a state. And in my state, I just want to point out my county is self-insured. It doesn't have to deal with insurance companies. They're bonded, insured. They insure themselves. I would think a state can also bond or insure its own stock exchange without any issues. Because that's not part of the Constitution. The federal government can say if you have a stock exchange, it must be by the SEC. I would think a state also has the authority to set up their own stock exchange, and no one can really. It's just that they haven't chose to. It's probably been a mutual agreement, but not that a state would be prohibited from creating a stock exchange. I just wanted to make that point, and we can move on.
I think I remember. The thing with the SEC, once you are regulated by the SEC, that allowed the stock exchange to receive investment from all 50 states and from investors outside of the country. I think that's the difference. If you only have a state regulated, look, I'm not 100% sure, but I felt like I read this like 10, 20 years ago. If you only have a state regulated stock exchange, then it's possible that it can only get investment within the state. I'm not 100%. You can, if I'm wrong, you can.
I have to research that myself, but I'm thinking from a constitutional level.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. That makes
powers reserved to it. The state has powers reserved to it.
Yeah,
investment has nothing to do with fundamental constitutional issues. So I'm thinking if a state wanted to set up a system like that, they can equally set up a system and it can't be stopped.
Right.
Yeah, I fully agree. Let me mention this one. This stock exchange was created in 2019 and received SEC approval in 2020. It's called the MEMX, the Members Exchange. And a bunch of these banks got together to invest in this thing. But this is a private, independently owned stock exchange, technology driven stock exchange. So this doesn't have, this is kind of outside of all these things that we're even talking about. Doesn't have state, doesn't federal. These banks got together, created this thing, and got SEC approval. So, the states obviously can do all of these things as well.
Okay. I mean, I just learned something, and I'm going by things that I learned 20 years ago, and it's things that absolutely changed. So, that's a great thing. That'll make it easier for Black Americans or a supermajority Black state to create its own stock exchange. So I definitely support that.
1000%. So let's talk about Delaware. They had, and I've seen this in a couple of other states. This last Tuesday was their school board elections. So, this is like not election time necessarily, I guess, but in this state, and there were one or two other states where I saw people talking about school board elections. So, this has already happened because it was on Tuesday. So that's something that, Gary Chambers, who put out that he's kind of educating people on civics, he talked about running for these boards, school boards, library board, parks and recreation board, whatever, to get on those because, and matter of fact, the people who posted about this was the Libertarian Party. They're a third party, smaller party, but they do go after these offices because they're, usually can win with just a couple hundred votes. And you're trying to build your way to bigger and bigger things as a political party. So that's something that we also got to remember and definitely think about. I talked about Delaware State University becomes the first HBCU to launch a helicopter flight training program. First HBCU in the country, in the history of the country, to have this. Shout out to Judge Joe Brown because he always talks about this Tuskegee pilot program. I think you got to be under 21, between 18 and 21 to get involved in it, but they have a website for those who are interested in it. Pilots do make six figures. He was saying that some private pilots, once they get enough experience, can make seven figures. So, those are two really good opportunities out there for some young Black American men to really think about. We talked about that Chicago thing, Chicago, it's, man, that South Shore neighborhood, they are really forcing their way into that neighborhood. There's some school that was abandoned, probably sat there forever. Like all the schools around where I live at, the schools and the churches, they just kind of sit around till they decide to do something with them. And this particular school, they wanted to put between 250 and 500 illegals housed at that school in this Black neighborhood. And from what I understand, the Hispanic neighborhood didn't want them in their neighborhood or something of that nature. So, that's a whole red flag issue right there. Because they're probably, I don't know a whole lot about Chicago. I don't know if the Hispanics in Chicago are Mexicans or if there's some other type of Hispanics. But I do understand that different types of Hispanics don't necessarily like each other like that. So, that kind of makes sense, even though it doesn't make sense. I talked about Joe Biden having a Mexican, I guess, campaign manager for 2024, which tells you everything you need to know to be quite honest. Let me see what else we got up here. Corey Bush. Corey Bush, prime example of a Black American who comes out of the grassroots, comes out of Ferguson, is real marching in the streets. You know, we're going to end qualified immunity. We're going to change the laws. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to blah, 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 blah. They get elected. And then after a couple of years, you don't even hear from them anymore. If you do hear from them, they're talking about black and brown, or they're talking about, you know, sending money to Ukraine, or they're talking about a whole bunch of other shit that ain't got nothing to do with the place that they came from. That is what happens. It's a process. There is a system in place to make that happen over and over and over again, no matter how many people we send up to Congress, no matter how vocal they are in the streets, they all do that same 180-degree spin when they get to Washington, D.C.
Hey, Black, the reason is, right, look, once the Democrat Party knows that you have significant support within your district, then they got, you know, you're popular in your district, then, you know, the Democrat Party say, hey, we like you. However, you know, we will give you support, and we'll give you the money you need. We'll help you get the votes, but you also have to, advocate for our agenda and policy as well. I mean, that's what. The Democrat Party is too powerful for a political person to be on their own. I mean, especially when you know that your time is only 2 years. So if the Democrat Party can guarantee you another 2 years and another 2 years, I mean, to me, that's going to point a black politician to go with the Democrat Party. They're just too powerful. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's a part of the issue. So now we had some major movements in the California reparations, and there were a few spaces about that. In the space that we had last week, I kind of was talking about how they should pivot towards getting the votes in the different houses, the Senate and the Assembly, and then there was a space a couple of days after that where that's essentially what the strategy was laid out by the task force members. So that was actually really, really good. I didn't get to hear the whole space, but the parts that I caught kind of on the tail end, that's essentially what they were talking about. And that's really where it's at now, because you've put in the report, and there was some back and forth with Gavin Newsom on whether he supported cash payments or not. He made it very clear that while he's not saying outright he supports cash, he's saying he's waiting until the legislation gets through the Assembly and then gets on his desk. And, he added some other caveats or whatever, but, cash payments are on the table, quote unquote, as far as the governor is, concerned at this point today. But we know, again, there is a fight that's coming. Not even just the constitutional, take it to the courts, get an injunction, et cetera, but Judge Joe Brown talked about those props out in California, whereby which they could float a prop that says whatever, we don't want to do this, and then let the citizens vote on it. And then if it comes back that way, my understanding is if it comes back that this is part of the problem with ballot initiatives and props, is sometimes when you put something on a ballot based on the population, now us having a black majority state, it should always go in our favor, but you could also end up with something that you don't necessarily want. And I know there was a case where, I can't remember which state it was, they had a ballot initiative, the citizens voted it in, and then the state did some finagling, where they basically took away the will of the people and didn't honor the prop. So you know, I would like to know if I'd probably have to do some study on California and their propositions and how official they are, and if they do, you know, essentially hold up under that type of pressure.
All right. Hey, you know what? I'm not quite sure if I support props because some of them can be extremely liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's just my opinion. Anyone can come up position, right?
I think yeah, you need signatures, right? Yeah, you got to have a certain amount of signatures. Yep.
Right. So you know, so any person can come up with their proposition, and it can be very liberal, and then they get the signatures, and yeah, I don't know. It just depends.
Yeah. Now, so the question becomes: is that a constitutional issue, like a state constitution, where you would remove, if let's say Delaware, let's just focus on that one. If there is a something in the Constitution that allows for these ballot initiatives, do you? I mean, because we're going to rewrite the Constitution anyway. Are you going to remove that provision and then take that away from the citizens? You know, you see what I'm saying? Like, so.
I'm not willing to remove it, but I'm just look, I'm more on the conservative side. So look, we're gonna have different factions, right? So whoever has the most vote, I would support that. But I'm just a little bit on the conservative side. So whoever has the most votes, if that's who I support. I guess I don't want to really say exactly. You know, I don't know. I just whoever the people want, man. I'm just one person.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's something to think about, right? Because, you know, because the reason why affirmative action essentially got killed in California was because I think it's Prop 209 or something like that, that got put on the ballot, and then they got rid of it like that. So it's something that's important. Like what you're saying, if the demographics or the ideology of the population changes radically to one side or the other, it doesn't matter if it's left or right, that, you know, it actually could end up being a negative thing overall. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, what I would do is, I'll put in my suggestion and what I advocate for, but yeah, it depends. The people, you know, if they vote different, then I support the people. But you know, just try to put it. I just rather have it in the middle. You know, I don't want to be too far to the right and not too far to the left.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you I understand what you mean. Let me get to Rep. Hank Johnson, Democrat from Georgia. Oh God, this person, he's full on board with the bringing the illegals over. He's saying they're the ones who put food on our table. Without them, we are not able to eat. Man, this is a black Georgian Democrat, older politician. He said we would have nobody take care of our construction of our homes, nobody cleaning up the hospitals. Now, he is in a district where the Republicans, they put up a black man 3 elections ago. The last 2 elections, they put up Mexicans, somebody with the last name of Cruz and somebody with the last name of Chavez. Now, here he is in Georgia advocating for more immigrants to come into the country and likely come into the state of Georgia. He's literally advocating for his own replacement as a politician. Like, how insane is that? Like, this makes me feel like this person is not intelligent and shouldn't be in office to begin with.
I mean, you have to know what your interest is, what your own interest is, are.
Yeah, he's advocating for something that's anti himself, because again, the Republicans keep putting Mexicans up against him in his own district. And if they get enough, eventually, and he keeps telling black people, oh, we need these Mexicans here. They're going to start voting for Mexicans because he's sending them in that direction. It's just bizarre. Totally fucking bizarre.
Some people are so used to not being in power, not being in control. So they're used to other people making decisions for them. And I hate that. I don't know how to change that way of thinking. But, a lot of people think that way.
I would say we have false expectations of black Americans who are actually Democrats. They're following the Democratic Party platform, and that we know that platform isn't intended for our benefit. They're pushing agendas that's told to them in board meetings from the DNC, not board meetings, but their meetings that come directly from the DNC. So they're going to, based on their own self-interest, follow the policy that's told to them, and they're going to do it even if it's to their detriment, because in the short term it fits their self-interest. They get to keep their seats, they get to keep their influence locally, and they're not challenged. We've seen with like in my lifetime, I've seen a few representatives that went against the grain. One of them was Cynthia McKinney. Another one is Dennis Kucinich. And they, even though they were really good representatives for their districts, they were quickly primaried or challenged by people that the DNC funded to get them out. And I think that's what's at issue. The people that are black, that do, that are the congressmen in these districts, they're Democrats first, and they're not for the people.
Yeah, you're right about that. With the primarying of the people who don't toe the party line, they get them out of there really, really quickly if they have the opportunity, and or as if you're running as a new person and and you don't align with them like 100%, man, they either don't fund you or they make it very, very hard for you to get elected. I think Gary Chambers is a pretty good example of how they manipulate the system against people with a different point of view.
Yes, like I have it on my page. That's like one of my the issues that I hit at and push all the time. They not only will make it hard for you, they went to court and argued that they have the legal right in their own primaries to cheat you. They can do everything they need to prevent you from winning, including outright cheating you, like they did to Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election. And that should have been an eye-opener for all of us.
Marcel.
I apologize.
They threatened all the candidates we were that we were hosting, Samantha and I, Marcel, William, and Tamara. They definitely threatened their lives, and that was the Democratic Party.
Dear God. See?
So I would say we can expect the same as we try to build interactions, like have interactions with each other, as we try to build support for the black state-controlled state, as we try to build the political party from the ground up or the grassroots. We know that they'll have full forces come against us. They'll also use their intelligence forces. So this is to be expected. So that's one thing that we should speak about and try to come up with solutions for, like to get ahead of it or to combat it.
Oh, Miss Rella had to come back up. Yeah, absolutely. Bringing Miss Rella back up. So that is one of the reasons why I speak about hyper transparency. Number one, you're not going to. We don't want to go in with the marching and the protesting and the rah rah rah, confronting people. We want to come in like a lamb. Come in like a lamb. get to know people, build relationships. You know, hey, can I volunteer here? Can I blah 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 blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then just from observation, realizing who has a little more consciousness, who is not just vote blue no matter who. Because if you're inside of some of those events and meetings or whatever, you can kind of start to gauge who is 100% on board and who's not, and get a feel for the people in the audience, even because whenever there's a question and answer session, that's probably the best time. You'll actually hear from some different voices, and then you can start to identify people who are not necessarily towing the party line. So there is a method to it where you're not just going to get on ground and start, like I said, screaming on the corners, attracting a whole bunch of unnecessary attention, and then actually what you're doing actually is you're poking the beehive and getting these people all riled up and excited, and now they're thinking they're looking at you like you're their enemy, when actually you're the surgeon that's coming to cut off the cancer that they don't even realize that they got. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you kind of got to go at it in a totally different way. And I don't believe we should be spending money on campaign ads or billboards or none of that. I think we should be spending money on anything. It's how do we get in front of people's faces, knocking on doors, going to school events, going to any type of public library event, any type of concerts, any type of going to churches, actually getting in front of the people, having conversations, getting to know people. And like I said, with a state like that, there's likely to be, if we just base it on the numbers, 38% die-hard registered Democrats. Now, of that 38%, how many of those are willing to maybe see things differently? Maybe there's a 25% of those. Then you got all the independents, and you got all the people who don't vote. And so if you can find the independents and the people who don't vote, and then get some of the diehard Democrats to at least see things from a more logical Black agenda basis, you'll have more voters than they have. And you bringing in a couple 100,000 people will certainly help facilitate what we're trying to do. So it's definitely a process, and you got to go about it in a professional way. Again, not showing up at events and confronting people and asking a bunch of questions so you can get on YouTube. And it's just for what it's worth, that's effective in some areas of the country, maybe possibly, but in this, and definitely in Mississippi, my God, the more I think about Mississippi, I mean, like, man, if you ain't 2-8 up, licensed to carry in the state of Mississippi, and you ain't got some type of security, some sec ops, you might want to really try to really rethink that whole strategy, going in there like rowdy. So yeah, that's just we gotta come at it from a different angle. Okay, let me talk about this story. The loved ones of the Buffalo tragedy have put up a lawsuit for social media platforms that help radicalize the shooter, which is actually pretty awesome, because that I think they were on what's the name of that damn platform they were on? It's a video gamer platform. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Let me see if it's in the story. Because he was
Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch. That's it. Yeah, because he was live streaming at the time on Twitch, from what I remember. And so they're going after, what this says is they name Meta, which is Facebook, Snapchat, Discord, Reddit, Google, which owns YouTube, and Amazon, which owns Twitch, and the site Gendron, which was used to live stream the situation. 4chan is also named, and they're naming the firearm companies, it looks like. So, man, this is actually a big story. We should really try to, try to follow this story as much as possible to see what the outcome of it is. Because, you know, the firearm companies, they usually kind of push them to the side. But the fact that he was streaming live at the time of this is definitely, to me, they hold massive responsibility, because there was all this planning that took place and all of that, and likely training that took place on those platforms. So they are absolutely liable, in my opinion. I wish I was on the jury for something like that, but hopefully this turns out to be, you know, some semblance of justice out of a really tragic story.
I agree, because I mean, I feel like they were responsible. I mean, they didn't take it down.
Oh,
because he was on there for a minute.
Wow. You mean
Black? Is there any mention of part of that story was that he was also in contact with a law enforcement officer or a retired law enforcement officer? Is there any mention of that in the story that you're reading?
There's no, yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's no mention that I saw of anything to do with that other person. And that, I thought that even when the federal government got involved, you know, it kind of made it seem as though the parents might get charged, this guy might get charged, but no, you know, for what it's worth, the federal government came in, even though this guy's got life imprisonment, whatever. In my opinion, they came in to set him up in federal prison, which is a higher standard than state prison. And so I believe it was a protective measure, even though he's going to spend the rest of his life incarcerated. I personally believe it was a protective measure.
Oh, definitely. I believe the state prison is much more dangerous than a federal prison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the double-edged sword of the federal government stepping in in situations that involve our population. Is that it's not always, quote unquote, to our advantage for them to do that. To be quite honest.
If I can remember reading, I think 85% of black prisoners are in the state.
Yeah. Yeah, and he would have, if he would have ever hit general population, certainly could have been touched and touched by God, let's say, but certainly could have had a conversation or two. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going down my timeline. I know there was something that I posted earlier in the week that I really wanted to tap into. I talked about this vocational training. Now here it is, Texas. What is it, 45% Mexican at this point? They're talking about vocational training in high schools that would give high school graduates a $50,000 to $70,000 starting salary. But in the video, they talk about $150,000 over after a few years of experience in those trades. So the timing of that is not coincidental, right? You know what I mean? They know the Hispanic, obviously, because they're coming across the border every single day. They know this Hispanic population is booming, and they want to give them this vocational training so they can go right into the trades, right into the unions. If they got unions in Texas, whatever, they got gas, oil drilling, they got to build homes, they got to build highways. I mean, there's so much money to be made in the state of Texas over the next 100 years that it's just very non-coincidental that they're putting this up in putting this in their schools now. Let's see here.
Yeah, they trying to. It seems like they're gonna roll this out like they did DACA. Because they expect so much amount of money back. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a caveat, and they're going to try to get this. And the crazy thing is, the government have never offered anything like this to Black community.
They took it away. Yeah, they actually took it away from Black communities when it was kind of in place at a certain time.
I mean, not even for vocational training purposes. There's many migration patterns that we've had across this
different
country
trades
that has not,
Texas.
It hasn't been like anything consistent from any of the states, which is crazy.
I thought the apprenticeship program was very popular back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah, it was.
But we're talking about, I mean, the DACA program is like free money, free education, and then the caveat is, once you get into a certain profession, then there's money that goes back into the program.
You think they fear the increase in crime if this there's an illegal immigrant population is not educated?
Wow, bro.
And have skills.
No, I think it's about money.
Cartel crime.
They don't care about the crime. You just had that man shoot up that whole family down there in was that Texas?
Yeah, that was Texas. Yeah, that was Texas. That was Texas. And Allen, Texas thing that happened right after that.
Yeah. So it's definitely not about crime, because in California, in LA, I mean, they literally allowed the gangs, which, I mean, come on, let's be real. The Mexican gangs was MS-13, but then the cartel started moving in, and they allowed them to literally run Black people out of certain towns, certain cities. So now it's a concentration in LA in a particular district. So when you think about it, I don't think it's about crime. It's money. They're trying to get people in a position to make more money, because then it brings them more profit. Taxes.
Hey, Black, you remember that video of this guy? He's trying to. He's telling the people in this town that he want to build a mosque. You remember that video?
Yeah.
And
that was Conan. That was Conan. He was in a white town in Arizona.
Yeah, I think it was Arizona.
People was mad. They was pissed off.
And I like when the lady said, she said something like, "Look, if you guys build this mosque, we'll be forced to move out of this state."
Yeah, she said we're gonna have to flee. That's what she said. We're gonna have to leave. Yeah. I was like, what the? And he was like, but it's going to bring in about 300. No, did he say 300 or however many million? Because at first they was like, oh, it's great. Until he said, yeah, it's going to be a mosque. And then the white guys was like, the Blacks. What did he say about the Black? He said,
he said, we what did he say? He said, Black, so not, we tolerate Black people.
Yes, we don't want to be around them, but we tolerate them. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God. You don't even know.
Muslims were worse.
Them is the racists that you want. Them is the white people you want to. Man, I'm telling you like this.
Of the town.
Look here, man. I'd rather deal with those type of white people, because they're going to tell you to your face they do not like you. Stay on your side of the town. Those I'm telling you, those are the people that are so much easier to deal with than these fucking Democrats that are going to be hugging you and taking pictures with you and stabbing you in your fucking back.
Black, you sound like a robot again.
Okay. Twitter don't want me to talk. They don't want me to talk up in there because they know if I get to talking, it's gonna be over. Oh, Twitter's so crazy, man. I can't believe
it. Like I said earlier, Rella, happy Mother's Day. Actually, I'm going to take my wife out to dinner in about 30 minutes.
Nice.
And yeah.
I should say happy for those whose moms is. Yeah, I had to. That's why I had cried myself to sleep when after Professor had talked. That's why I didn't come back on the mic because I fell asleep. He was talking about, for people who, whose moms have passed away and stuff. So.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. I just fell asleep. I was like, okay, I need to go. I almost left.
Oh.
Hey, Black, you back?
Yeah. So happy Mother's Day to your wife.
Your wife.
And your family, and enjoy your dinner, of course. And happy Mother's Day to everybody in the space, of course, all the mothers, and condolences to everyone who lost a parent, of course. Yeah. So Twitter is what it is. It either is kicking me out or it's reducing my voice to nothingness in these spaces. The reason I'm on a social account is because the Great King Black State account couldn't maintain a space. And that's not unusual, but it happens periodically. I did shut the phone off. I deleted the cache. I deleted all the data. I did all of those things, and still it would not allow me to hold a space. So, we just do what we do. I'll try to jump in spaces during the week and see if it lets me stay in them, and if not, we'll just kind of be over here for a while. But this is what Twitter does, and it just is what it is. So, kind of used to it at this point. Yeah, but that Allen, Texas, since that did come up, there were two black men. There were two stories from two black men that I saw across my timeline. One gave an eyewitness report of him and his daughter being in a restaurant of some type when this shooting took place, and he told his daughter to get down underneath the counter, and he was essentially in protection mode at that point in time. I'm not sure if he was in that Fat Burger, because that's where he ended up dying, and that kind of would line up. It kind of would make a little bit of sense if that's where he was at.
So he got shot. So he got shot?
No, he didn't get shot. He was inside the restaurant as it was happening, though. And he said he told his daughter to just get down underneath the counter or whatever for protection. He never went into. I don't think he made it inside of any of the stores. But from where he jumped out of the car and then he walked all the way around to that Fat Burger, which was on the other side of the mall, he did what he did. But the other black gentleman who actually was on one of the news channels, he said him and his family, his wife, his kids, they were shopping at that outlet mall. And he said he just kind of had this weird feeling like, they should make it a short day. And then, they kind of went inside and got some ice cream or no, matter of fact, he said they were inside, they were shopping somewhere, and he just kept having this feeling like, we should probably cut the shopping trip short. And then he said on their way out, one of the kids said, "Can we get some ice cream?" And then he said, he, for whatever reason, he just had this gut feeling. He said, "No, we'll get some ice cream from the gas station on the way home." And then he said, as it turns out, the shooting happened minutes after they left the outlet mall area. And he said where the guy was shooting at, he said, first of all, where the people got shot at, him and his family had walked past that area already. And he said wherever this ice cream yogurt place was at would have been in the line of fire. So that's one of those situations where you got to listen to that little voice. So, sometimes that little voice be talking to you and telling you, really what, and I'll be honest with you, most people that have been locked up, have a story where they say, I had a feeling, I have in my gut, something was telling me not to do that, quote unquote, and they didn't listen to that little voice inside of their head. So definitely listen to that little voice as much as you possibly can, because in this situation for this black family, it probably saved their lives. It probably saved that whole family's lives, to be quite honest. So yeah, just wanted to relay that story. Let's see. I know. As a matter of fact, I remember I saw the post. It was an entire Asian family that had lost their lives in that situation. So just got to be aware. Definitely got to be able to protect ourselves and our family if given the opportunity, and just take it as a blessing if you're still here another day. I mean, that's how I kind of do. Just look at it as a blessing, man, every single day. And that Mexican, the guy who turns out to be a white Hispanic Nazi, racist, nationalist, whatever. The insignias that he had were directly connected to some white Nazi organization. They're saying that the prison gangs of Aryan Brotherhood and these Mexican gangs kind of link up when they're in prison, likely or linked up in real society, because they start facilitating drug trafficking, human trafficking, gun trafficking, all types of criminal activity. So it's actually not as far-fetched to understand that one of these Mexicans who's got all these tattoos all over the place can become radicalized and kind of take that whole ideology to heart, and then start going out and harming innocent people, essentially. So there's oh my god, I'm so glad that I live where I live in the country, and Delaware is relatively safe, even though Philly's kind of wild. Delaware is relatively safe, so I'm actually looking forward to getting over there. Yeah, let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Black American Homeland mentioned his Black American Homeland book, which is available now on Amazon.com. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, he's got a YouTube teaser video. So definitely, if you get a chance to check out Black American Homeland's YouTube channel, sign up for that. Yeah. Oh, Trump was on CNN this week, and from all appearances, he did so well that CNN didn't post the entire video of the town hall, whatever questions that they gave him. There are clips out there, but they seem to be holding back the whole video of it. So it probably looks like a thing where either CNN is moving to the right, they're trying to, or to the center, even trying to be less liberal, maybe. And thought
really, I thought that. So what was the controversy with that what's his name came on to address with the silver hair? What's his name?
Anderson Cooper?
Yes. What was that whole controversy? Because people were like, he was lying about the lady that he had assaulted in the dressing room and stuff.
You know what? I passed. I saw that one time on the timeline. I passed over it. So I have no idea what that's about. No idea. The only thing I posted about him, there's a picture of him as a kid. I guess him and his brother on his mom's bed, and behind them is these puppet like figures, or what do they call those little knickknacks? But it's an image of Jesus in a box that is being burned alive, and there's this like a priesty type of person, but almost like a demon person, and then on either side looks like maybe angels or whatever. It's actually a really horrific image, although
I
you
was
know
about to say that's not creepy at all, huh?
exact oh my god. Yeah, so if you don't if you know, they got to explain it to you, because you wouldn't, from a distance, and it is from a distance, you really can't tell until you read what the post is, and then you zoom in and you can literally see a figure of a Jesus inside of this glass box with these flames like right up against the back of this figure. So that's what he comes out of, essentially. Is saying that to say that type of mentality from his mother or whatever. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Here's Fox. We talking about CNN. So they had a guy on Fox who said, "Have a plan to kill everyone you meet." That's the quote. This was after that Allen, Texas shooting. So this is the mentality of these people, right? We say, get your 2A up, practice self-defense, defend your family, etc., etc. You could be the good guy, whatever, whatever. And so we're thinking of it from a defensive perspective, and this is how we're going to protect ourselves, protect our family, yada, yada, yada. These people are sociopathic. They're thinking, I got to kill everyone I meet, have a plan to kill everyone you meet. My God. Yeah. Yeah, that's the way these people think. So you got to understand that. There was the video of the brother who, old white man who either flew, I guess he flew halfway across the country, and this shit's all on Ring video. Shows up at his brother's house, knocks on the door. Finally, they open the door, and he's asking, "Where's the mother at?" Maybe they were protecting the mother from this psychopath. And he's like, "Oh, well, she's in another state with some other people, blah blah blah." And then this so-called brother just starts killing. Well, he ends up killing him, shooting somebody else in the house. You hear like a woman's voice in the background. And then as he's exiting the property, the police is one police officer, one police car pulls up and just starts unloading into this guy. Ends up killing him. And this happens all on video within the space of like a minute and a half or something like that. It's a crazy fucking Ring video.
These people are connected to the police somehow. Because that same situation with that lady Tracy Douglas that was jumped in the parking lot in Michigan. That video I posted. The police just comes out of nowhere. Their sirens weren't on. They came up quietly.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, because I think it was the same thing where the sirens weren't on. It just seemed like the car just popped up.
And then so the police takes her to the hospital after a series of questions or something like that. And then now the officer's telling her, I mean, she's physically beat up. I mean, they got her blood all on their hands and stuff. And the guy admits, he was like, "Yep, I was pummeling her." Like one of the guys, he was like, I was going to town. And then they flash back to the recording of the scene, and the cops are like laughing with them and talking about, because he was like, "Well, I'm just as black as you are." I told her, "I'm just as black as you are." So they never even arrested them.
I gotta check that video out. I didn't get a chance to watch that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna hold the room. This is probably a good time as any to start to shut things down here. I think I covered all the spots that I had as far as the tip. It's always the typical stories, but I'm just trying to touch the ones that stood out this particular week. Yeah, I think we touched on everything.
Well, shout out to the room. If there's anyone that wants to come up and get some last words in, feel free. And if not, we are going to bid everyone adieu.
Yes. Let me say this. So there is this murderous psychopath who did in the life of a young black man on that train, and all of these people are coming together, and someone did request, but I don't see what happened to it. Okay, DJ's up here. So so what happens is in these situations, what the people do is, and that's why I changed the title of the space to "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is that immediately someone set up this Give Send Go account, and then money started flooding in. Because you need resources to fight these battles. And I had a conversation. I've actually had a couple conversations with a couple different people, but it seems for us in all the circles that we travel in, all the people we know on Twitter, is that when a situation comes to us, it's always the house is on fire. House is on fire. People, kind of chip in a little bit. If the house is collapsing, people chip in a little bit more. If it looks like the ground is going to open up and swallow the burning house, then people dig in their wallet and they put in a little bit more. And that is not preventative. Unfortunately, it has helped in some of these situations. Thank God. The universe is God, but it should be a thing where we're able to logically and intelligently figure out how to help situations that really, really, really need funding before it gets all the way to that point. In other words, we're on the Titanic. The engine room is on fire. The boat is taking on water because now there's a hole in the side of the boat, and the boat starts tipping. And this is when people decide they want to help. And it's really, to be quite honest, in some instances, it's kind of at the point where it's kind of too late. You know what I mean? I think we just got to try to do that part a little bit better, where we do put some money out there and we do help the movements that we think matter. Just do it a little bit sooner before the boat starts to flip itself upside down. Oh, by the way, that Georgia guy I mentioned earlier, the moron who wants more Hispanics in his district to take his spot, he was at some hearing, some hearing somewhere, where his question to a military general was about the island of Guam, that's 200 square miles, that his fear was that overpopulation will cause the island to capsize and flip over like a boat. Now, when earlier when I mentioned this guy, I said, it doesn't sound that intelligent. Well, when you hear an adult human being who says they fear an island is going to flip over like a boat to a general in a hearing in the federal government, and the people in his district keep voting him into office, is he the problem, or are the people who keep voting him into office the problem? Because that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life, to be quite honest.
What's up, DJ?
Hey, DJ.
How y'all doing? My bad. My hands are greasy right now. I'm getting my Popeyes on.
How do we get
okay, I just came to say what's up before the space closed. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
How y'all doing?
Good. You got the Popeyes?
Yeah, Irie. Shout out to Irie Farmer. You know what I'm saying? He kept bringing this mention in the Popeyes. I'm on my way home. Oh shit, Popeyes still open? Fuck it. Yeah, let's go. And look, I went up in there at the right time. They was closing. I got a box full of chicken. So if y'all hungry, you know what I'm saying? Pull up for $20, yo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a box full of chicken, yo. This is ridiculous, yo. I got everything from breast to wings. What you want? All spicy too. Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
You know, there's a Popeyes here in the Philippines.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
I love the biscuit.
That's amazing.
I love the biscuit.
See if they got them strawberry biscuits. Now, the biscuits is trash nowadays, though, but, you know, unless you catch them coming out the oven. But if not, they taste like bricks, yo, now. Real rap, yo.
Hey, you know what, Black American Homeland, you still in here. I posted a video. They were talking about this channel. It's a YouTube channel. Last year, they were saying this is why the U.S. won't go to war over Taiwan. But a year later, fast forward a year later, they're talking about these 3 strategic straits and how China and the U.S. are going to try to control these straits. And oh, by the way, the Philippines has a role to play. I didn't realize that it's basically China, mainland, Taiwan, and then the Philippines geographically. So do you guys get any of that information? Like, or do you see the drills happening? Like, is there anything that's happening over there for you?
Look, this is what I noticed. The past 2 months, right? I've been going out, right? You know, hanging out in the bars at night. I'm seeing Black American guys. I'm seeing a bunch of them.
Okay.
I talked to a few of them, some from the Navy.
Yeah.
Or
That's what it is.
And they're doing some type of what do you call it? Some beach. What do you call it when they do drills? You know, they're doing military drills here in the Philippines.
There you go.
It's it's the American military and the Philippine military. They doing drills here, and there's the big ships, in Manila, in the Manila Bay, and things are definitely going on here in Southeast Asia. And look, the Philippines are only, I think, about 100 miles or 150 miles south of Taiwan. So it's not far. Maybe 200 miles.
Yeah, you know, that was the other component was the shipping and the docks, those deep water ports, and how they would stack munitions up on these ports, and how China US would kind of be fighting over, because that's where they would want to stage all their equipment and ammunition, et cetera, for this pending war.
Correct. Yeah, man. It's look, the China, during when Duterte was the president, you know, China really tried to roll Duterte into their camp, and you know, he offered China offered the Philippines billions and billions of dollars to build roads and bridges and train a subway system. They're building the subway system right now. So yeah, they gave the Philippines billions of dollars, and China thought they had the Philippines, but when the new president Marcos took over, now he's leaning towards the United States.
Interesting.
So it's been a big shift, and now you see more American military in here in the Philippines, and I'm seeing more American tourists. I mean, it is really crazy right now.
So yeah, so the Philippines, the economy is growing really fast the past 6 months.
Do you think they're tourists, or do you think they're like contractors and consultants? You know what I mean?
Contractors, tourists, and military.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you got it, DJ. Jump.
They said they're in the Navy, or I think a few guys said they're in the Air Force.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah, they're here, man. Yep.
Okay, you got it, DJ.
Nah, the other reason why I came up, let me know if you want me to play some news over here or not. Close the space out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's good. You got it. Once we get through this conversation. Go ahead, Black American Homeland.
Well, I was gonna say, but yeah, it's things are changing.
Do you feel safe? Do you feel like if something was to pop off, because you are right there, you say 100 miles from or 200 miles from Taiwan, and then what, another 100 miles from China? So I mean, they could blast away, right? I mean, you're in the short cruise missile zone. In other words, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel safe over there like that?
They got ships off the coast of the Philippines. They what they call it, the Spratly Islands. They have a lot of Chinese naval ships in the Spratly Islands, so they're very close. They can hit Manila really quickly. I really don't fear none of that stuff, man. I mean, it's something. My wife and I, we did talk about it. If we live close to Manila, if things happen, then we'll leave Manila and go to the province, right, to the more rural areas.
Okay.
And I guess we just feel safe there. If things get really bad, the American embassy, they will probably want to evacuate American citizens out of the Philippines, and that'd be okay.
Okay, let me say this, man. It's just from watching what happens when the shit goes down. Get on the first plane, bro. Like, seriously, get your family and get on the first plane out of there. If them sirens start going off, all that shit, because you might only get that one chance to be keep it real blunt about that situation.
Look, to be honest, Black, I'm very weird, man. You know what? I'm willing to stay here. I want to see how things. I want to observe how war is actually take place. I want to be here, man.
Oh my God!
I'm crazy, I know, but I want to experience all these things.
What the?
If I get hurt, killed, I just don't think about those. I'm here to learn, man. Even if it kills me, I want to learn everything. I want to go through all this stuff. So,
man,
I probably won't leave if anything goes down.
Wow.
I know I'm crazy, man, but that's just the way I think. And look, I mean, I'm 57, man. I mean, I'm already old, man. So that's the way I think, man.
Man, I mean, that is, man. So you're at peace with it. So at least if you're at peace with it, you're at peace with it. But it would, obviously me, it couldn't be me. I'm man, every single second of life.
Yeah, but the way I see it, all right, let's say if the Black American Homeland was able to, we create the Black American Homeland, and if things happen, then guess what? I would have the experience to know, like, okay, this is what we need to do if something happens, because I already went through a war, in the Philippines between China and America. I would have experience. I mean, I'm all about learning, and I'm an observer of people and what goes on. And that's been my whole life.
already been in war zones before, and I'm just not. I don't have no fear of that stuff. That's just that's just the way I see it, man. I mean, I've been in a lot of dangerous situations, and sometimes I feel like I have 9 lives, right? But I just don't fear any of those things. And if it happens, man, I'm ready to go out, man.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a soldier. That's a soldier mindset. Again, if you're at peace with it, I can only, pray for you and your family, and that you make it through something.
Yeah.
Hopefully nothing ever really does occur. But at the same
Right.
time, it's like, what is the US going to do if China really puts the pressure on and pushes that situation? It's that part of the world is in for a heap of trouble, and if something was to jump off over there.
Yeah. Wow. To be honest, man, you know what? See, I think China is going to be in more trouble because now you got Japan. They're building their military. Look, they said Japan been building their military for the past 5 years, and you want to know who the Chinese people fear the most? They fear the Japanese. Mm-hmm. They fear the Japanese more than the USA. That's their biggest worry, Japan, and then also they got South Korea to worry about too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. So so I think before something happens in the Philippines, I think it's going to happen between China and Japan.
Mm. Oh wow. Oh, that's interesting. For what it's worth, I'm at the point where I say just eliminate these people off the face of the earth. Whoever, I don't care what country it is at this point. To be quite honest, growing up, I had a whole different, humanitarian point of view on things. Today, right. I'm just like, wipe North Korea off the map, wipe as much of China off the map as you can.
Well, look, see, now I do look at it I look at that a little bit different. Look, to me, China does have a purpose in this world. I think China can keep America a little bit of a balance. Like I think we do. We don't want America. I mean, I really don't want America to be like the ultimate we call that superpower. I want some other superpowers to keep America a little bit, just a little balance, right? I think that's very important because that's just the way I think. This a little bit balanced. I don't think China does have a purpose here in this world, and I don't want China to be totally wiped out.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
If we look, let's say 50 years into the future, and everything that Elon Musk and what is it, Blue Horizon with what's the other fucking guy, the Amazon guy, and the British guy with his Virgin Galactic company. If this space thing ends up being a legitimate thing and they get up to the moon and they're able to get that H3 and all those other rare earth metals, and then they're able to get to Mars, the balance of power and wealth is over. And the US is so far ahead in that space race, that even whatever goes on down here terrestrially on the planet, once they are able to secure those resources and they're starting mining asteroids, the balance of power is over, because the United States at that point essentially has unlimited wealth.
Right.
And so, and this, dear God, it would be nice to live 50 years. This is something that could likely happen within, our lifetimes and or our children's or grandchildren's lifetime. So, um, it's a lot to really take in, but me personally, I'm done with the threat of war, the thought of war, this balance of fucking controlling this planet shit. I just want all that to be over personally.
Right. Like, good example, like, to me, China, kind of keep...
We're in the Matrix, right?
Yeah, China, to me, kind of keep a check on Russia. China kind of keeps a check on Japan. So, it's... a lot of these, superpower, they, it's a check on each other, and I like it that way. But if America is the number one superpower, that's okay.
Okay, cool. Did you, Miss Rella, you said I was in the Matrix again? That quick?
You were. You're not no more now.
Okay. All right. Because I'm like, damn, man. These this is technology. This yeah, whatever. That you know what they're doing. Yeah, well, so yeah, salute to you for having that mentality though. For what it's worth. Me, same thing. If and this is in my mind, I've thought about it so many times. If there was to be, because they're gonna target the major cities. I'm kind of outside of this city. And Wilmington is not big enough for them to target, in my opinion. So I wouldn't even expect anything there. But DC's close enough, Baltimore, Philadelphia, whatever.
Yeah.
But get out into the mountains or into the woods for sure. Get away from the major population areas, and try to live off the land, essentially, quote unquote. Take as much as you can with you, and you're living in the Stone Age at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because once the power's out, you can't get gas, you can't get water, because that's all electricity, driven. And
see, hey, Black, do you know? That's funny, Black. I haven't had electricity for 3 days.
What?
Well, actually,
what?
About 2.5 days.
What?
It's on right now. So I'm so used to electricity. Going out, coming back on.
Oh, you prepped.
No hot water.
You prepped.
No water for 3 days.
What?
No internet for 12 hours.
Oh my God.
I'm so used to all that stuff, man. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Wow.
Oh
my
God. If this happens in America every single day, man, it'd be a lot of pissed people in America. But I'm so used to this, man. This has been happening to me for the past over 20 years.
Damn.
And I'm already used to it. So if I'm in America and my electricity goes out right for a week or two, I can survive it. I know what to do. If I don't have running water for a week or two, I know what to do. If I don't have telephone access or internet, I know what to do. Cause I've been through it so many times.
Wow. That is crazy.
So I believe that every person should every person that lives in a first world country should experience living in a third world country, and then when they go back to America, right, they will appreciate the things they have, and just have they'll have a little bit better survival skill. That's all.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I don't need to be in a third world country to have appreciation for my country. I don't feel the need to have to do that.
Right. But what I noticed, Rel, is that a lot of people do not. They don't appreciate, or they don't even really recognize what they have. Like, good example in the book, I talk about how when I got to take my kids to school, right? There's no public school buses, right? So I have to find a way to get my kids to school. I mean, there's so many different other things like you know how we have the sports team. You know, I wrestle, I played football, I ran track in high school, right? You know, they don't have none of those type of sports programs, even in the best private school. They only have basketball, volleyball, and a couple of other sports. So, you know, just things like that. You know,
track. All you need is shorts.
I said, man, I'm glad I went to high school, and you know, in America, because I experienced a lot of good things. You know, just little things like that.
Yeah, no, that's soldier mentality right there. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. If the power went out in America, I mean, I'm talking about nationwide for a week, there would be massive amounts of suicides. That's just like, at this point we are literally at that point. If you shut the internet off for a month, I mean, my gut tells me that people could not handle that mentally, physically. They would just lose their minds, quite literally, and murders would increase. Man, we're in the matrix already. We don't really understand it or appreciate it for what it is, but we definitely in the matrix already over here.
All right. Hey, this is the last thing that has to go. I remember what year? I think it was 2009, 2010, right? Part of Manila had a flooding. I think was even worse than what happened in New Orleans, right? And people were like, you know, playing in the water. They had their own boats and paddling on the water, and it was no major, because it happened. They have floodings major flooding every 1 or 2 years, right? And these people, they treat it like it's nothing. It's nothing to them. It's like we've been through this before. This isn't nothing. We can handle this. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So,
cycle.
Yeah. Well, look, man, but see, I can't walk in that water because that water's so dirty, man. You know, I have skin rashes. You know, so I can't get in the water, man. I have to, yeah. But the Filipino, man, they can walk in that water waist high.
Wow.
Yeah.
Different breed.
But look, hey, Black, I gotta go, man. I appreciate everything.
Different breed, man.
Like I say, happy Mother's Day, Torella, and all the other young ladies there, and DJ and Muppet. Yeah, you guys take care. I gotta go. Thanks, guys.
You too, bye.
Bye.
Later, Black America Homeland.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay, man. That's soldier mentality right there. Imagine for a moment, if you will, entering the twilight zone where you don't have electricity for months. Whoo, man, I ain't gonna lie, that would be. And I mean, I'm not talking about war zone or anything. I'm just talking about just normal everyday. There's no electricity. That means there's no running water. There's no gas coming out the ground. So you got the daylight hours, and then it's dark, and then maybe you got candlelight, I guess, till those run out. Yeah, no, that. Oh my God, their goodness. I don't know how many. I mean, I don't know if I would want to live in a society that was like that at this point. You know, that's different. That's real different right there. That's real different. Yeah, way off the grid. So, yeah, DJ, if you got something queued up, I'm gonna throw you the co-host, and then we could, just kind of vibe on these news clips a little bit. But thanks to everybody that's in the space, 1000% for rocking with us, of course. And just appreciate everything. Yeah, that's it. Really appreciate everything. I can't imagine me without fucking electricity, bro.
Family, Nikki Emmett here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'd appreciate if you give us a big thumbs up and share the broadcast. It makes it more likely that other folks will know that the counter voice to the powers that be's media apparatus is here and unified. Thank you so very much. Family, I have some interesting footage that was done at a congressional hearing here in the United States of America about AFRICOM. How many of you all know that this is America's military setup there on the continent? I want you to hear from a black general, Langley, a testimony that was given here in the congressional hearing. Watch this clip.
Mark, how many?
Congressman, it would be a wild guess, right?
Seems like something we should know, right?
Over the years, we have trained a substantial number, especially in the Gulf of Guinea states. But then,
more than 10,000.
It is more than 10,000.
More than 50,000.
I say we're reaching around 50,000 at least.
And what percentage of the people we've trained end up participating in insurrections or coups against their own government?
Very small number, Congressman. Very small number.
So what percentage do you think?
I'd say probably less than 1%.
It's be like about 500. About 1% of 50,000.
Congressman, you may have that information. I don't at this time, but I know.
Well, I know there's some, right? Like this is Colonel Mamade Doumbouya, and this is a photo of him. Did we train and equip him? In Guinea?
By name, I cannot identify that.
Well, that guy in the middle with the big red hat, Colonel Mamade Doumbouya, that's him with a bunch of U.S. service members outside of our embassy. And just months after this photo was taken in 2021, he led a coup in Guinea and threw out the leader. Does that concern you?
Congressman, core values is what we start off with in IMA programs.
Did you see that, family? I got chills. So not only did the United States of America put forth a black general to take the fall for how America has been accused of operating in multiple countries on the planet for many, many years. But to have congressional testimony about AFRICOM, to have this general admit any percentage that they have actually trained up those on the continent that turn around and activate a coup against their own government tells you everything that you need to know.
We have trained a substantial number, especially in the Gulf of Guinea states. But then
more than 10,000.
It is more than 10,000.
More than 50,000.
I said we're reaching around 50,000 at least.
And what percentage of the people we've trained end up participating in insurrections or coups against their own government?
Very small number, Congressman. Very small number.
So what percentage do you think?
I'd say probably less than 1%.
It'd be like about 500. About 1% of 50,000.
Congressman, you may have that information. I don't at this time, but I know.
Well, I know there's some, right? Like this is Colonel Mamade Doumbouya, and this is a photo of him. Did we train and equip him?
Let me tell you something. Here in the United States and around the world, we have been finding very damaging testimony that's been coming from all over the place. Whether it's an errant white officer who thought that he turned off his audio and video camera, but only to find out he actually activated to catch him admitting to, for example, wanting to commit a purge, which is an anti-black agenda, using the police to take out multiple Black Americans. Whether you hear folks admitting stuff that's happening in the medical industry, economic industry, military, schools, food, it doesn't matter, whatever place of people activity, these different admissions are not happening, family, not only because folks are being sloppy.
Do we train and equip them? In Guinea?
By name, I cannot identify that.
Well, that guy in the middle with the big red hat, Colonel Mamadou Doumbouya, that's him with a bunch of U.S. service members outside of our embassy. And just months after this photo was taken in 2021, he led a coup in Guinea and threw out the leader. Does that concern you?
Congressman, core values is what we start off with in our handmade programs.
The more we come together, the more we become unified, the more we become coalesced in deciding that we are going to live Black and empowering lives, spiritual forces come to our aid. Where's my gavel? Did you hear what I just said? Yes, I have a gavel because I want you to know that this is a symbol of authority concerning our voice. This is not something that should be just used for your legislators, your parliamentarians, your judges, and most often, or more often than not, are white. I want you to know that our word matters because we said so. These things are happening because there's an unseen government that's working with us. As we begin to move in a unified way in the right direction, the universe comes to our aid. Did you hear what I just said? There's a lot that's happening now. Family, it is time for us to begin to rise up together as a unified force to enjoy the fruits of our own labor, to protect ourselves in an upright and righteous way. And look how things are coming together. The things that we said for so many years is being displayed and admitted on record. A congressional U.S. record at that. My name is Vicky Dillon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Vicky Show right here on African Diaspora News Channel. Make sure that you check out my website at VickyPlanet.com. The link is below. I can't wait to see you again.
Once going twice, if you want to comment on that. Once going twice, you know.
Okay.
All righty. Let's go.
Some developments with the Jordan Neely case. As we know, Daniel Penny was charged with second-degree manslaughter in the case.
Okay.
And that charge, I knew he was going to get charged with manslaughter. I said that in my last video that he probably going to go with manslaughter. I mean, that just kind of, in my opinion, where they would go with it. Second degree, now your first degree, Alvin Bragg really didn't want to charge him. That's really what that was.
Yeah.
But many times we have talked about and we have preached over and over and over, not just me, but everyone who's out here who's trying to speak to you about having a code in the community, operating by a code, how to understand that the code is the leader, not an individual. Because when you start making individual leaders, they become targets. And it's easier to take out that leader than to take out the initial code, because when you have the code, everybody understands what to do. Understand?
I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that.
We preach this over and over and over and over again.
I don't agree
the
with
white supremacists, I have to admit, are great at staying on code. They are born in the earth teaching the code of white supremacy. And the pillar of white supremacy is anti-black racism. That is the pillar of white supremacy. Daniel Penny, even though we saw the video, we all saw it, they got on code. They went in less than a week, raised $1.3 million for Daniel Penny in less than a week.
Fucked up, bro.
Let's go on, and we're going to go check this out on the actual site. We're going to read what these people are actually saying with their rabid minds. But let's check this out. So this is Daniel Penny's Legal Defense Fund. It was set up on Give, Send, Go. This is the place that at first they used to go to GoFundMe. People started going to GoFundMe. GoFundMe started taking their stuff down. They was going to Indiegogo. Indiegogo started taking their stuff down. Then they start going to Give, Send, Go, and they've been safe to raise money on that particular platform. Now, this is what being on code looks like. They
They didn't have to have a leader. They didn't look at a politician. Nothing like that. They just make a call and they get on code. $1.3 million they gave this guy for his legal defense fund. Not $1.3 million for maybe some people that need some help with cancer. Not $1.3 million to try to help the homeless situation maybe in one of their cities. Not $1.3 million to maybe invest in children's education. No, $1.3 million because we are defending the right for a white supremacist to take the life of a black person. They should not go to jail for that. Now, this campaign was created by his lawyers. And down here it says, Daniel Penny is a 24-year-old college student, decorated Marine veteran, facing a criminal investigation stemming from him protecting individuals on an NYC subway train from an assailant who later died. He's talking like nothing, wasn't the cause of anything. It just happened later, right? So funds are being raised to pay Mr. Penny's legal fees incurred from any criminal charges filed or any future civil lawsuits that may arise, as well as expenses related to his defense. All contributions are greatly appreciated. Any proceeds collected, which exceeded those necessary to cover Mr. Penny's legal defense, will be donated to a mental health advocacy program in New York City. Now, I didn't hear the mainstream media advertising his fund. I didn't hear Fox, Newsmax, and none of them saying, hey, this is fun, help him out. So they have in message boards where they're talking to each other, and they all getting on code, right? And then we find out about it later, after the fact. So I want y'all to see something here. Let's go here. Let's go to the top donors. The top donor gave $10,000. $10,000. He said, thank you for protecting the citizens that day. Another one, $5,000. Do the right thing, Dan did.
Damn.
And say it's not that tough.
Damn.
3,000. 2,500 by Mark Mason.
Terrible.
Another 2,500. God bless our brave vets. 2,000.
Damn.
1,500 of Christopher Mesba. Clarence P. Wonka. He said this young man's action should be celebrated for saving lives. Like these white supremacists in their mind really believe that what this guy did was saving somebody's life.
Wow.
This is what they have convinced themselves, and we got a video. It's not like this, like he said, she said. We have a freaking video, and them other two guys that was holding that brother down need to be charged too.
Wow.
They really believe in their mind that he just did nothing wrong with the video.
Crazy.
He knew that Jordan passed out, and he still had to hold on it. That, to me, alone should get him convicted. Because say, hey, you seen him go out, you should let him go. But anyway, they say if he was identifying himself as a female wearing a dress and eye makeup and did the exact same thing, he was invited to the White House by Biden and Harris. Sad but true that our current administrations are behind all these innocent heroes being prosecuted. No, Biden and Harris is not trying to prosecute none of y'all. The grassroots is putting foot to butt. That's all it is to it. RJ and AJ Award. Another $1,200 they given. Another $1,000. Daniel Penny is American hero. He had the bravery to stand up and do the right thing. No tears for the who died. Another $1,000. This kid, he's a grown freaking man, but this kid deserves to be commended for his brave and selfless actions. Unfortunately, the upside down society we live in will unsuccessfully attempt to prosecute this great young man. He's great for ambushing a black person, a mentally ill black person that was having an episode. He's a hero for that. In white supremacist society, cowards are heroes. If you take the life of a black person, you're a hero, whether you're police or not. The key is getting away with it. It's the key. He says, I'm sure he will get all the help he needs. Another $1,000.
Aloysio Ribeiro, Hispanic. And, we talked about that issue with the domestic terrorists here in Texas being Hispanic and being a full-fledged card-carrying white supremacist. Oh, boy, that conversation is really spinning on people's head right now. Because some of them do think they're white. Oh, yes, some of them do. Some of them detest being called white, and some of them want to be white, and it goes all the way back to Lulac and Felix Tijerina and all of that. Another one, please fight for this young man. Heroes don't belong in prison. We all watched the video. And this is white supremacy. So when you hear me calling them devils, when you hear me calling them the spawns of Satan, this is why. To them, that was heroic. To us, heroic is like pushing somebody out the way or not getting hit by a car, or someone saving someone from getting shot, or running into a burning building and saving someone. Like, that's heroic. Or someone choking in a restaurant and that person know what to do and save their life. Like, that's heroic to the majority of people in society, right? But to the white supremacists, what you saw in that video was heroic. Let's continue. $1,000.
Crazy.
$1,000. John K. Powers, Semper Fi. It said, thanks for protecting other people who on the train. I guess it said U.S., whatever it is. Another one here. Texas supports you. The Soros DA should be in the chokehold. So now this one is advocating that Alvin Bragg suffer the same thing. They say he is responsible for every crime, every death of a killer he lets free. Karma is a Soros boy, a.k.a. Chubby. Mike Davis, another $1,000. Another $1,000, $1,000.
Damn.
And then you have just regular ones giving $25. Keep the faith. $100, $20, $100, $20, another $10, Semper Fi, another $10. They say the people with you keep the faith. A Marine Carney, God bless Daniel Penny. I mean, the God you serve is not the God of heaven and earth. So just say Satan bless. That's all you need to say. But I just want to show y'all what happens when the code is the leader. Thank you for doing the right thing. They're trying to make an example out of you to scare others into standing by and not helping others. There are still decent people that see what's happening. Thanks again. Just Jen Reacts. YouTube. Who is Just Jen Reacts? Y'all know that person? This extra $100 is for every hateful comment I am getting. And we cover this story on my YouTube channel. And for the victim is Jordan Neely, mostly. So this for Daniel Penny, 10,000 pennies for you, sir. Thank you for saving lives that day. Let's hope Daniel gets acquitted for this. He did a world massive favor that day by sneaking up behind a black person who didn't see him coming and put him in a chokehold with the assistance of two other people because he didn't do it by himself. Godspeed and Semper Fi. So I just want y'all to see the sick and depraved white supremacists. Well, let's get back to what we got to say. When you hear me say that the white supremacist is Satan, when you hear me say that the white supremacist is in league with the devil, has made a covenant with the devil, what you saw on that particular fundraiser, that's why. That's why. Once again, we all saw the video. Most people who see that will say that's horrible. But in their minds, that was a beautiful thing. That was a great thing. Understand? And this is how these people have been forever. This is why I told y'all, the older that I become, the less patience I have with it. That's why I'm a little bit more saying I would like to just have my distance. Understand? Because I know the code that the majority of them are on. They won't raise money for anything good, but they'll sure have money to try to, and listen, all this money was raised is to try to keep him from going to prison. Because if he goes to prison, listen what one of them said when we read that earlier. When he said, they just try to make an example out of you. See, for them, that's taking an L. They supposed to be having, there was a law they had called the Casual Killing Act, where they said if you were to end up killing one of your slaves, you wouldn't go to prison for it because, hey, it just what it is. Just what you had to do to keep your slave in line. And they want to continue the Casual Killing Act in 2023. So what Daniel Penny did, he shouldn't be going to jail because that's just what he felt he needed to do at the time period. Understand? This is what they want because in their rabid mind, we got to keep the black people in line and we got to keep them in fear that we can take their life and nothing will happen to us at all. So what we're going to do, we're going to get money together in the thousands and try to keep him out of jail because it's more important to us that those black people feel that we can take their life at any time and nothing will happen to us. That's how important white supremacy and anti-black racism is to these people. That's how important it is. They will take thousands of dollars of their own money during the time period where groceries is high, inflation is high, and everything is high, but they got money for that. That's what they got money for. Black people, this is what a code actually looks like. What if we actually operated in a code like them? We get tired of preaching to you about being on code, being on code, being on code, being on code, being on code. And notice, that political divide, it goes away real quick when it comes to being on code with white supremacy. Because you had the New York Post defending him, right wing. You had the New York Times, left wing, defending him. You had Fox News defending this guy. You had CNN. You had Democrat mayor, Democrat governor trying to defend this guy. Everybody was on code with white supremacy. No matter about Democrat or Republican. Didn't matter. But we tell you about being on code. That's what a code looks like. Nobody was infighting. Nobody was saying, hey, Daniel Penny don't need no money. Shoot, he don't need no money. You hear none of them say that? And if any of them think it, guess what they do? They don't say it. They keep it to themselves. You understand? They know not to step out of line when all of them are getting on code to that level. But in our community, you all got some raccoons saying something against black folk. We fight for stupidity. We fight for things that we don't even have yet, and we still fighting over it. It gets exhausting sometimes talking to a lot of you about being on code. And we have to sit here and watch these people be on code. If we were on code like they're on code, we wouldn't have the problems we have today. Not a single one. But because a lot of you has an affinity for those people, in which they code is to be against you, this is why we're in the condition that we're in. Now, I saw some people say, oh, we need to go and we need to try to get that shut down. Why? Why do you want to shut down his fundraiser? I don't like that shut down cancel culture thing. I don't like that. I'm telling you why I don't like it. Because when we need to raise some money for something, and because now a precedent has been set to start just shutting people's stuff down because we didn't like something, now when we go do it, now they really gonna shut ours down because they look for any little thing to shut ours down anyway. I like to see who's giving the money. I like to see how much they're giving. Why shut it down? Let them have it. You're not gonna stop them from giving him money by shutting that down. They're going to figure out all kind of ways. They got to go put up a Zelle. If they got to go put up whatever, you're not going to shut that down. George Zimmerman got all kind of money. And y'all trying to shut his stuff down every which way you can. No, I like to see who's doing the talking. I like to see who's doing the movement. I like to see all that. That's what we know. But my thing is, when are we going to get on code? When are we going to put aside the differences? and understand that, let's be on code. Black folks still fighting about Democrat. Black people won't even talk to you if you're not a Democrat. Or you're not a Democrat shield. They don't want to talk to you. This is the stupidity that's in our community. And unfortunately, the majority is on some Democrat shilling. I'm not talking about just the anointed shields. I'm talking about just your everyday black folk. If it's not a Democrat, but then now, which I'm going to do a live stream on this, now, because of Democrats, look at what's happening in Chicago where they're going to put all the migrants in the black people community. South Shore. And we was all on code and focusing on fixing our community. It don't matter what our political ideology is, we wouldn't have these problems. When are we gonna get on? When are we as a people gonna say enough is enough? We black, we got issues and problems. Let's be on code about this. No raccooning. If you want a raccoon, just keep it to yourself. And unfortunately, the issue is global. The issue is actually global. It's not just in America. It's a global issue of black folks being like this. I mean, it's just amazing to me. I'm like the way these people have treated us for hundreds and hundreds of years globally. How are we even having a debate about these people? How are we having a debate about getting on code? How is that even a debate? I don't get that. It's like some of you love your oppression. I think you would know how to function without it. Now I'm talking about globally. These people do things to us, and we don't get on code enough. Yes, we're starting to move a little bit more on these politicians. Alvin Bragg, trust me, would not have charged him if the people wouldn't own it. Trust me, they wouldn't have. But Alvin Bragg may try to throw this case. Do you remember with George Zimmerman case? They literally threw the case.
That's what they do.
They threw it, literally. They literally threw that. If you listen, go back and look at that case. The prosecutors literally was not objecting to anything. Let the defense just literally talk all day long. Barely say anything. Like, they didn't want to win that case. They didn't. So that's the next thing you got to worry about. Alvin Bragg and them throwing the case.
I went to get a...
Like you would throw a football game or something like that. When I tell you the white supremacist, it's a devil that the Bible speaks of. That go send whatever it is, give, send, go. That's what I mean. They have money to invest into one of theirs to make sure that he don't go to jail for taking the life of a black person. You can't reform that, ladies and gentlemen. You can't reform it. And you need to get it through your little silly heads that you can't reform that. I understand it. I get it. I get it 100%. How I view it, just so much you can't make a dog stop barking because that's in the dog. That's what dogs do. This is what the white supremacists do. My conversation is not about changing them. My conversation is about you. What are you going to do? Because it gets frustrating at times.
What are you going to do?
Dealing with black folk.
What are you going to do?
Because we have the potential to be 1,000 times further than what we are today.
That's true. It's all true.
And yet we're still infighting on stupidity. We have some great minds, great orators, all kinds of great people in our community.
Sad.
We can't even unify because everybody got an ego. Let's call it what it is. That's one of the biggest things that I see out here is everybody's ego. Sometimes some of y'all have told me in the past, Phil, why all y'all just don't get together and work together? It's not me. It's not me at all. I've said it a long time. It's never been me. But everybody got an ego. Everybody's right. Everybody's smarter than the other one. The white supremacists put all that mess aside and they get on code. They fight too. Oh yeah, they infight. But they know when to stop. They know when to say, okay, let's put all that mess aside. Yeah, I really don't like you, but let's put this to the side because we white right now. And we gotta get on code on them black folk. And that after we do accomplish the mission we're trying to accomplish, we can go back to fighting then. And I said to black folk, we all are going to have to like each other. I'm like this. I can work with a whole lot of people. You live in my house, I'll live in yours.
Right.
We can get some things done and then go on with our respective lives underneath this being black.
Right.
But no, we don't want to do that. Religion, ideology, I don't like him because of this, I don't like her because... And this is why we're still in the position that we're in. We're going multiple ways, trying to go the exact same way, but we're going 50 ways, trying to get to the same location.
Still
instead of saying, hey, it'd be faster we all get together and just head one direction. But unfortunately, that's why we're in the position that we're in.
59
but
tuned in,
until we decide to get on code for real, we're going to stay losing.
59 people.
And there's always a minority of people taking on the load for this community. Always a minority. It's never the majority.
3 minutes.
And that mess needs to stop. But let me know what y'all think about this, ladies and gentlemen, about the white supremacists, how they get on code when it's time to try to defend one of theirs so they can get away with taking the life of a black person. I want to thank you for all your comments, new subscribers. Appreciate you coming by. If you're just first time here, make sure to, you appreciate the program, leave us a super chat. You know, if it's after the fact, leave us super things, greatly appreciate it. Or you subscribing to us on Facebook, we greatly appreciate that. Or sending us stars on Facebook as well, greatly appreciate that. And we'll see you on the next one. So, you know, the election will be coming up next year, and every time the mainstream media always want to get the temperature of black people. Have you noticed the pattern? They always want to cover black people, cover what we think, what's the temperature with us, and then when they get us to vote for them, then they prioritize everybody else. As you see with the Biden administration, look right now. Illegal immigrants is getting everything. They're getting free phones. They're getting free places to stay. They're getting free clothes, shoes, while homeless black Americans get nothing. Schools that they have closed, buildings they have closed, all of a sudden can open these buildings up to the illegal immigrants that they're bringing in here by design. All this that you're seeing that's happening, even putting them in black neighborhoods, is being done by design. It's not by happenstance. On Thursday, Title 42 is ending, which Title 42 allows the government to not allow asylum seekers to come into the country due to the pandemic that we was dealing with at that time period. Now, I have people that I know who work on the border, and they told me to my face that when Trump was in office, it was more control. They didn't have the influx. The moment Trump got out of office and Biden got into office, the floodgates opened immediately. So all this was done by design. And even talking about the design of that is a whole nother podcast in itself. So the New York Times put out an article where they talked to several black people. Now, they didn't talk to LGBT. They didn't talk to Asians. They didn't talk to Hispanics. They didn't talk to white women. They made sure to talk to black people. We only get focused when we can be used. And we are used to vote because those other groups that you're bringing in here, they don't vote or they can't vote. The ones who can vote, they don't take advantage of that at all. All they want to do is just be the labor class. Now, they said in that article, black voters' biggest policy priorities is stronger federal protections against restrictive voting laws, student loan debt relief, and criminal justice and police accountability measures, as they have failed or stalled, some because of Republican opposition and some because Democrats have declined to bypass the Senate filibuster rules. Those disappointments highlighted in interviews with more than 3 dozen black voters, organizers, and elected officials in recent weeks leave open the question of just how enthusiastic Democrats' most important group of voters will be in 2024. Now, the New York Times has saying that black people is the most important voters, but look at how they have treated us. How are we the most important voters for the Democrat Party, but the moment they get in office, they say F y'all. Matter of fact, F y'all, I'm going to do for everybody else in front of you. I'm gonna make sure to let you see me giving tangibles to all these Biden and them get in. Who the first people that got something? The Asian community. Talking about the anti-Asian hate crime bill. Black folks lead the nation as victims of hate crimes. This is proven by FBI statistics that's put out every single year. Not Asians, blacks. And when they talk about this filibuster crap, which is a Senate rule, it's not a law, it's not nothing in the Constitution. When that came up for a vote, all of a sudden they can relax the filibuster for that. All your congressional raccoon caucus that's up there, they all voted for it. They did not once say, hey, wait a minute, hold on. Black Americans need to be added to this bill too. Black people, because of what we have suffered in this nation historically, even up to now, we need to be on this bill. They said nothing. But you know the rule for the black politician. You cannot help black people, you cannot punish white people, and you cannot harm white people. Harming white people could be economically, it could be mentally, whatever, right? It doesn't mean physical. For instance, having an influx of immigrants from across the border, putting the white community constantly, that's harming white people. Black politicians can't do that, just for example. So we are the most important group, but yet we get nothing. Yet the people that don't vote for you get everything. And we still have some black folks who literally at this point have a really Stockholm syndrome, which is a mental condition, really say, if we don't vote, if we don't participate, what you think gonna happen? Look at what you're voting, what you're getting now. Everybody else is benefiting off your vote. Everybody. People who are not even citizens of your country. Black Americans are in the street homeless, and people that just come across the border got a place to stay in nice hotels. Understand what I'm saying? Now let's continue. The interviews, they point to an emerging split between, black elected officials who are nearly uniform in praise to Biden, yes, because most, not all, but most black politicians are just chucking and driving, bootlegging raccoons. So, of course, they're saying predicting robust black turnout for him next year and voters who are less sure. Now, one guy says, folks are just tired of being tired, said Travis Williams, a Democratic organizer in Dorchester County, South Carolina. He says they're just sick and tired of being tired and disappointed whenever our issues are never addressed. I told y'all are performative voting, and you're getting nothing. Boule Martin, Black Voters Matter, Joy Reid, all of them have screwed y'all, have manipulated you, have deceived you, have misinformed you for years. And the only ones who are misinforming you getting the paper. And what are you getting? Nothing. Nothing. Now, a Marvin Dutton, let's go ahead and put that brother's picture up. Our brother Marvin. He's an entrepreneur who moved to Atlanta in 2020 from Philadelphia. He suggested that Mr. Biden needed to be a little bit more sincere rather than pandering to us when it's time to vote. Basically, Biden is fake. That's what the brother's saying. He's fake. He panders. What did Biden tell y'all? That y'all had his back and he was going to have yours. Yeah, he sure did have the black community's back, haven't he? Oh, he really had our back. And we know good and well the answer to that question. So Brother Marvin saying, who's an entrepreneur, who's a business owner, who's not an employee, who deal with a little bit more things that's different, and see the Democrat Party is horrible for entrepreneurs in our community. When you talk about, we had black businesses, this and the third, the majority of people was running businesses and they were hiring people in the community. We have to get to that. The Democrat Party is not a party that's going to promote business. They're not going to give black people opportunities in business. And as you go along in business, you will see how horrible the Democrat Party is. It is horrible for business. Now, on this next part, they actually interviewed your friend, old Jim Crow Clyburn, your friend. He says, I have not found a lack of enthusiasm. That's what he said. He continues to say that I just haven't found it. And people keep saying it, but it's not there. Sir, people in your age range, you're not going to find that for the most part. Now, you got some of those brothers and sisters that even mentions me, and they are waking up to the fact of what's going on, and they feel real bad because they really believe in that Democrat Party, and things wasn't set up enough for us. So now we got to come through kicking the door open, fighting every step of the way for what we need as a community. We got to deal with what they didn't do, and now we got to pick up to make sure we try to fix it for our children. You know what I'm saying? So, but there's a lot of black people who are not enthused. Case in point, our sister, Jennifer Roberts. Let's put her picture up. Our sister, Jennifer Roberts, she's 35 years old. She is a lifelong Democrat and was one of the black Georgians who helped elect Mr. Biden and Senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. She was confident in 2020 that Ms. Harris, and they say in this article, the first woman of color, they may see 1 minute she black, 1 minute she Asian, 1 minute she a woman of color. Well, y'all don't even know how to identify this woman. And neither did she come out and say her identity either. Because people like her sometimes like to play both sides. Hey, I'm black. Hey, I'm Asian. Hey, I'm Indian. Like, you know what I'm saying? I understand that's your background. I get it. But when it comes to American politics, you really got to pick a side. You can't play both sides because, unfortunately, the black side is being attacked. The other side is participating in the anti-black attacks. Bottom line. So you can't play both sides. Either you're going to be for the community or you're against it. That's just really where you at with it. That's why you, period. They said that they thought that she would use her background to advance policies related to women of color. She can't advance policies for black women and then other groups of women as a collective. We're talking about the collective groups who are against black women, right? So literally, she's done nothing. Her doing nothing kind of appeases both sides to a point. The sister said that she was praying for them to win. But guess what happened? Guess what happened, brothers and sisters? 1, 2, 3 years later, guess what happened with our sister? So Ms. Roberts' view of Mr. Biden's promises has changed. Her mother moved in with her because of rising rent costs in metro Atlanta. Inflation has put an added strain on the tow truck business she and her husband own. For a few short years, and Sister Roberts here is having buyer's remorse. Let me tell you how much buyer's remorse she's having. Get to this next section. So Mrs. Roberts now says she would support former President Donald J. Trump if he was the Republican nominee next year. What she wants and has not yet received is tangible help. And in the article, they put tangible help in quotation marks like this. They're basically saying tangible help. See, black folks have been saying we need tangible things for our community. The New York Times, you can put tangible help all you want in there. But that sister, who has been a lifelong Democrat, and say, if Donald Trump is the nominee, I'm voting for Trump. And I'm going to tell you why she wants to vote for Trump. She said, and she believes Mr. Trump's economic policies could possibly provide it. She says, I understand he's tried. She said of Mr. Biden. They say, when you don't address the things directly, when they don't go according to what you said publicly they're going to, you can't just sweep it underneath the rug. Everybody I talk to who is black, who has businesses, who are people that just like invest, who have good careers, or just people that's trying to make it, and got maybe 401k or something to that effect. All of them had to admit, during Trump, all of them made money. All of them. Mm. My dad never forget what he told me about that. He said, look, Trump's crazy and all that, and I don't agree with some things he do, but boy, I made some money in these Trump. He said it. And my dad retired at the right time. My dad retired right before Trump got out of office, so everything was up for him. Biden came in, everything went to hell. And now you got people can't even afford to stay anywhere. Moving in with family. Food prices through the roof. They haven't done nothing to address anything. This man is weak on the global stage. All this stuff going on in other parts of the world wouldn't be going on. I know good and well Trump was in office. We know that. Everybody I talk to who is black say they are not, the people I talk to, they are not voting for the Democrat Party. They say they can't wait to get out there and get Biden out of there. Can't wait. Now, there's another woman, Nicola Hemphill, an activist and state party delegate in Winsboro, South Carolina. She said she had also heard grumblings from black voters about Mr. Biden, but she saw this as a form of accountability, not evidence of a deeper problem. You're not just really seeing things, or sis. She said everyone is not happy with the administration, she said. And it's not that we don't want to see Biden run. We just want to make sure that he's going to deliver on his promises. He's not. He promised a whole lot of stuff to black folk. He didn't deliver one. But he made sure to deliver to the Asian community who did not come out in mass to vote for him. He made sure to deliver for them. And in the process, demonized our community, saying that we were the ones that was attacking Asians, and the proof came out that the ones who were attacking Asians were white supremacists. Look at the white supremacists in Atlanta, went to their massage parlor where they committing crimes. And add out the place. It wasn't black men doing that. But the few black men with mental health issues, always in New York and San Francisco, notice always those two cities, all of a sudden just go and do something, and it look weird. It look weird. They're wearing hoodies. They're wearing the color red, the color pink. You remember they were just all wearing certain colors. Everybody say, well, why is these guys just doing this, wearing these certain colors? What is this about? We just kept noticing a pattern. And those we caught on to the pattern, all of a sudden, black people attacking the Asians no more. It just went away. Where did it go? Especially when they got that bill sign, CNN, and that Democrat Party got together and propagandized black America. They didn't do nothing for you for qualified immunity. They didn't do nothing about the police. They didn't do anything for you. When you told them, hey, man, do something. We gave you the House. We gave you the Senate. Do something. Well, we can't do nothing about the filibuster. We can't do nothing, black people. Well, black people, vote, get 60 of us in, and you never have to worry about the filibuster. Or you'll be like, oh, well, it's Joe Manchin. It's him. It's Kristen Sinema. We can't do that for you. It's them. Well, if you just vote them out next time, it's them. They played game on the black community the whole time. And we were just shaking our head I was just shaking my head like, man. I said, boy, these people. I said, when black America gonna learn? When they gonna learn? And hopefully you learn, but unfortunately, I already know how it's gonna go. Some of you is still gonna run your behind out there and vote for them. You are. I don't need your explanations. I don't want to hear it. I personally don't want to hear it at this point because you get what you deserve from those people. I'm not participating in voting for the Democrat Party. Sorry. Now, there's one brother. He was a first-time black voter such as Evan Spann. He's a freshman at Morehouse College in Atlanta. They say, I'm hoping Biden, as they would deliver on his promises, said Mr. Spann said he wanted to hear concrete plans from Biden for his second term. He said, I think what he needs to do is directly say what he's going to do. He's not going to say that, young brother. He's not. But you can put his picture up, too, so you can see the young brother. Young brother, he's not. He's not going to commit to anything to black America. He's going to lie. They're right on the website. They not do nothing. Not do a freaking thing. He worried about giving billions of dollars to Ukraine, but not doing nothing for Black America. Did you go vote for him to have a blank check for Ukraine? That's what you're going to vote for him for? Is that what you're going to go back to get him in there to do? Because you get him back in there, that's what you're going to do. Or you going to go vote for him and having everybody come across the border, running from their homeland, and getting put in your neighborhood, getting resources that you can't get? Did they never offer to you? But these people just come across the border running from their homeland to be their new labor class here, who's not going to work for much. And they getting the red carpet rolled out for them by your Democrat politicians. They talking about, oh, Greg Abbott just send them needed. They've been in Texas. Texas is overran. Somebody else need to take other people too. Why should our state have to deal with all the people and our tax dollars go to all these people flooding our state and nobody else want to take it, but you talking about your sanctuary city? Man, some of y'all just barely getting people and y'all losing your mind. This has been going on for years in Texas. The brother continues to say, and then I think he needs to really show up and talk to us about it. He's not going to, because he got to have a cue card that tells him what to say to y'all. That's why he don't want to do a town hall. And if you do a town hall like on a CNN, where it's a controlled environment, you're going to have people, you know where they come from, asking questions that's already fielded for him, so he knows exactly how to answer them. Okay? So with Black people, you're disappointed. You didn't get what you needed. You're watching everybody else benefit off of your vote. They're not courting the Asians. They're not courting the Hispanics, Arabs. They're not courting anybody else. Just you. And it would be okay if we were voting for them and we got everything we wanted. And if they want to do for other people, I wouldn't care. As long as the Black community get what we need first, right? But we can't just be showing up, being a backbone and a biggest voter base for this party, and we're constantly made to look stupid. Because the whole world looks at Black America as stupid. The whole world knows we run and vote for one particular party that do nothing for us. They play a game and say, oh, the Republicans, oh, they're so bad, they're going to get y'all, and they doing worse. Look at what's going on with Neely. That is Democrats doing that mess. Democrats siding with a guy that had no right to put a hand on Jordan Neely. Democrats, a Democrat governor saying, well, certain behavior, you get certain consequences. That's a Democrat. A Democrat mayor, Eric Adams, is up here talking about, well, we don't want to rush the judgment. You can't be calling it murder. You can't be. Democrats. Okay? Democrats, not Republicans. These Democrats are not Democrats. They are Dixiecrats. And the Dixiecrats, if you know who they are in American history, they are the most racist party ever, the Dixiecrats. Now, both parties are racist against Black people. That's for sure. But we got to look at what particular party is offering a policy that can benefit our community. And flooding our communities with illegal immigrants, that don't work. Now, say what you want. The Republicans not pushing that, but Biden them is. You put Biden in another 8 years, those of you in these Black communities all over the country, you're going to be pushed out. Those people across the border are going to come in, they're going to be put in by your Democrat people, and they're going to push you out. They're going to get you out of all your cities. They're going to get you out of all your neighborhoods. You're really being pushed out. They're not grabbing you physically and throwing you out, but they're going to put these people in here, and these people become hostile toward you. Because anytime you get entitled people that come in and get free stuff, they get an attitude, they have nasty ways, and a lot of these people in their countries have anti-Black racism. We know that out of Latin America. The Black people in Latin America are treated horribly. So you're already bringing people in here who have anti-Black sentiments, and you're placing them in the Black community. That's not going to work out too well eventually. But you're going to go vote for Democrat? This is what you're going to go vote for? I just got to vote Phil. I just got to vote for the Democrats. Phil. These Republicans going to get me. Look, if the Republicans going to keep people out of our community, then you know what? I'll ride with them on that. And you'll give us some tax cuts for our black-owned businesses so we can thrive. I'm with them on that one. I'll take that. If you'll get rid of all this alternative lifestyle stuff being just plastered all over our face, our children always being presented in front of our children, you want to get rid of that? I'm with you on that. When has Trump and them forcing Museveni and them to accept all that in their country saying, if you put that law, it's going to be a punishment. There's going to be consequences. When have you ever heard that? You pushing all that mess in the African continent when they don't want it. You pushing in the Caribbean when they don't want it. Remember Jamaica? Jamaica say, hey, this is not conducive for our society. They raised the LGBT flag on the U.S. Embassy. Now, according to the Geneva Convention, the only flags that belong on the embassy is the national flag of that country. The LGBT flag is not the national flag of this country. They're breaking laws right then and there, hoisting an LGBT flag on an American embassy, antagonizing Jamaican people. This is what happens when Biden got in office. Your Democrats pushing all this mess on black people, at home and abroad. And if you go vote for that mess, you just as guilty. It's like you went over there and did it at that point, and you go vote for them people. Black folks got to wake up. We need reparations. We need our community to be made whole. And this Democrat Party thinking that they can just ride off into the sunset and displace us, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to displace you. You want to assist them doing it? How many times have I told y'all, a lot of you assist white supremacy in our downfall. You assist them by voting for them. The Democrat Party has a target on our head for displacement and putting us in a permanent underclass state. You want me to get certain jobs because they brought in low-skilled labor where they can pay them low wages and they don't have to hire you because AI gonna come in and do other things too. Y'all better wake your behind up about what's going on with this Democrat Party and the black community. Wake up, because that civil rights generation, they don't live their life. They just want to be comfortable. They want to get their Social Security checks. They want to just do their thing. They do not want no problems. And God bless them, I love them, but they're not going to be here forever, right? A lot of them, every year, the Democrat Party is losing that group because just life happens. They want to meet Jesus, right? But we're here. And those of you talking about you want to stay and fight, well, why don't you fight? You always talking about we going to fight. We going to fight. Well, why don't you fight now? Well, where's the fighting? You can't even teach the Democrat Party a lesson not to mess with you. Because it seems like to me, in one minute you say you want to fight, but in another minute you just want to go with the status quo. Of black people being at the bottom and assisting white supremacy and keeping us at the bottom. So what a fighting at? Show me what a fighting at. Because I don't see it. It's a slave to the Democrat Party. You got to focus on policy, not a party. Now, I'm sorry, I just can't vote for a Democrat because it's just the filth they put out there. I can't do it. And on top of trying to literally displace my people. Now, if I was a selfish guy, I'd be like, hey, it ain't my problems, whatever. I'm going to just do me and I'm going to get out the way, right? But I don't think that way because I care what happens to a lot of you in the community. Everybody can't move like I move. So I want you to be good, right? So you have to fight to be good. But if you don't stand up and fight, you don't let this Democrat Party know that enough is enough of this illegal immigration and all the things they're pushing, all this anti-black racism they're pushing constantly against us, weaponizing all these different groups against us. They the one pushing it. They pushing it. If we don't handle that, white folks, you're going to be one step enslaved. If they can just push you out your neighborhoods, just push you out your neighborhoods, and you willing to just go and don't do anything, don't stand up, they're going to push you into the Atlantic Ocean. That's what end up happening. They're going to push you from city to city, state to state, state to state. They're going to push you completely out till you go to the Pacific or the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico. They're going to push you into the water. That's exactly what's going to happen to you if you don't take a stand and say, no, this is not about to happen. Well, in our community, we will take a stand and we will fight. We will fight on top of fighting before you sit here and flood our communities. It's not going to happen. Because if you do it and we leave, then you're going to end up pushing us to the sea. No different than the children of Israel was trying to go at the point in the sea. And God split the water. Think about it, black people. We playing the same game over and over and over and over and over. And the good thing about me is that I've covered it all. So I have a great history of what y'all done and what the Democrats have done to us. It's time for y'all to talk about, if you don't talk about you're fighting, well, let me know how you're going to fight. Let me see the fight. Because if you're not going to fight, then let me know that too. Because this stuff is getting ridiculous. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation with our people, and definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. I appreciate those last night that answered the call for definitely donating super chats and super things. I appreciate that. It definitely helps us to keep going, and we definitely see you on the next podcast.
Anybody want to speak on those last two videos? Going once, going twice.
Man,
going twice.
Man, bro.
What was supposed to be a dream vacation to Africa turned for Kansas City woman.
Now her family wants to bring their mother's body back home. Fox 4's Reagan Porter explains the struggle as they try to honor their mom and 5 children begin to grieve their loss.
The family tells me their mother caught malaria while visiting West Africa and died. Now they're trying to bring their mother's body back home here to Kansas City to say goodbye.
This is going to be a hard journey for us.
Crystal Clayton and her 4 siblings, including a 7-year-old, face grief after Mom Latrice Clayton died on her dream vacation to the Ivory Coast in West Africa. Daughter Deanna Mashak says it will cost more than $15,000 to bring her mom's body home, $3,000 for medical bills, more than $12,000 to prep the body and ship it to KC.
It's like we can't even grieve because she's not here.
The 46-year-old was visiting a friend in Abidjan. 2 days in, she felt nauseous and went to the clinic. Clayton caught malaria.
She got all mandatory and required vaccinations.
Crystal says she was also taking a pill that's supposed to prevent malaria. She says malaria stayed in Clayton's system for a few days. Doctors suggested she seek further treatment in the U.S. Her daughters bought Clayton a plane ticket to come home, but her blood pressure was too high to travel. The U.S. Embassy told them an air ambulance would cost about $200,000.
So now I'm like really hurt because it's like they really seem like they don't care at all. And I feel like if they would have moved a little bit more faster,
what?
Maybe she could have been able to still be here.
Then Clayton suffered a stroke. Crystal said she stopped breathing. Doctors rushed her into surgery. She came out in a coma and died 2 days later.
It hurts. I'm still young. I'm 26 years old. I never thought I'd walk the day at this age without my mother. The love she had for all of us.
Mashak says Clayton taught them to stick together. That family is everything, even if their rock is gone.
It's tough. Our mom was like our best friend. All of us.
If you would like to help this family, we posted a link to a GoFundMe page in this story on fox4kc.com. Reagan Porter, Fox 4, working for you.
Man, that's sad right there, man. Go on vacation and lose your mom and shit over malaria, and then you took the shots and took the pills, and you still died, wound up having a seizure or a stroke. When the surgery, then you know, a lot of these African doctors, they got a lot of fake nursing degrees out here. They've been busted down in Florida, and as far as up here in Jersey and Pennsylvania, a lot of the Caribbeans got fake nursing degrees. Gotta be careful of this, y'all. Gotta be careful, man.
That was sad. That was a sad story. Cause I'm sitting here listening. I was like, so we really, it's like our bodies is not made to be out there. Like, it's a different environment for us. I'm not saying not go, but I'm just saying like,
Now the real trip is, the amount of money they charging them to bring her body back, and then when she got sick, $200,000 for a Medi-Lift. Like, it wouldn't cost that here. You know what I'm saying? This is why we be, having these back and forth fights, unfortunately, about, shit the telegang be saying to us, come to Africa for what, yo? You know what I'm saying? To lose my life potentially? You know what I mean? Akon, Burna Boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. There ain't no infrastructure over there for us. We built the greatest infrastructure on the planet. Why should we leave it? Even though I know Phil be talking that, but man, go at your own risk, man. Play at your own risk, girl. You know what I'm saying? That's the game, yo. God bless her 2 kids too, you know what I mean? For sure now. Because like the youngest daughter said, I never thought I'd be walking, the rest of my life without my mother. You know what I mean? That day counts though, but it's unexpected and fucked up, Medical apartheid, like you be saying, relatives, that's technically what the fuck that just happened to this lady. Medical apartheid, yo. Because I don't think these Africans know what the fuck they don't. Keep it real. Y'all haven't been able to cure things like malaria in your country yet. And then it's like medicine and pills and shit for that. And I know it's all about your body and how you able to fight that shit. But damn, yo. Why should being an American citizen, why couldn't she just go back to the embassy and say, I need a medical ride home? Ain't that's what we pay taxes for and all this other stuff?
Mm.
But let it have been somebody else, a white person, they would have got their ass home.
I'm joined now by Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, as well as New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Thanks so much for joining the program. Lieutenant Governor, I'll start with you first. One thing that annoyed me, and I was there, and by the way, I'm so proud of our men and women in the Texas DPS. They're truly the last line of defense for America right now. But I saw this image, and if the producers can put it up, this is not the right way to come in this country, but they were taking selfies and videos in the welcome to America sign. Now, they didn't come here at a port of entry. They didn't take the citizenship test or anything, Lieutenant Governor. But this is, with the cell phones that our government provides them, they're taking selfies.
So, Lawrence, first of all, our DPS and our National Guard and our sheriffs and our law enforcement across the border, they are doing a tremendous job. We're exhausting them. We're exhausting our resources. I just passed a budget a few weeks ago that has $4 billion of Texas taxpayer money into it just for the border. When Trump was president, it was $400 million. So we've had to take it up tenfold. And we are doing a terrific job right now. We are repelling, and people are returning to the other side, but they keep coming in waves. So the numbers have been down a little bit today because they know Texas means business. We have barbed wire, call it concertina wire, whatever you want to call it, on the banks everywhere. We keep deploying more. We're filling every gap. We want to force everyone coming here illegally to come across those points of entry on the bridges. We don't want them in between, and we're going to all the hot spots. Our people are doing a tremendous job, but this president is selling out this country, Lawrence, selling out the American people. And all of your guests, I heard on the video package there before, said it. He doesn't care that women and children are being sex trafficked. He doesn't care that fentanyl is coming over the border. He doesn't care that terrorists and criminals are coming across the border illegally. This president is a puppet to the left. The reason they got Joe Biden to be their nominee, they needed someone they could control because he's not even clear thinking enough to understand what's going on. And Mayorkas is a damn liar.
Yeah, he is. Congresswoman, this is no longer just a Texas problem. Get ready for the mass release. I was talking to the Border Patrol, and they say 60% of the people that come across the border, they're just releasing them. They only deport 40%. So they're coming back to New York, and it's not just the buses that the government of Texas is sending. They're going to be coming.
Yeah, look, Lawrence, kudos to Texas and the great leadership of the governor and the lieutenant governor that are actually doing something about the border. We see in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul put out $1 billion in new taxes to take care of people who are illegal immigrants, and for those people to be cared for.
And those are even higher taxes, and we're one of the highest tax states in the nation. But really, when you talk about compassion, that question that was answered, look at what's happening in New York's northern border. Everyone forgets we've got this massive northern border, and the rules have been changed. The cartels are controlling the border in the northern border as well. They're getting illegal immigrants into Canada. They come in, there's no visa requirement. They get to the border, the cartels get them into New York. Kathy Hochul allows them to be issued driver's licenses, and they can virtually go anywhere in the world and anywhere in the country, and they can go wherever they need to go. We're going to provide them with all the taxpayer funded needs that they have, whether it's food, housing, healthcare, you name it, all over you heard of the illegals are now displacing homeless veterans in New York City. And when you talk about compassion, I want to come back to when this northern border problem has been increasing by 800%, just after I left my full-day meeting with the northern border agents, they had 4 people die in a swamp right in the Quebec border, and they were children. 2 of them were children. And this is not compassionate, and this is human trafficking, fentanyl up 25%, killing our children every single day. And this is what you get. And the Democrats run everything in New York, including the Democratic governor, and they keep encouraging people to come in, and you're going to see these upstate counties bracing for this.
Congresswoman, you're exactly right. They know what they're doing. They just don't care. Lieutenant Governor, Congresswoman, thanks so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Yeah, them white folks in Rockland County, they mad, brother. You already know. You know what I'm saying? The white folks is mad that immigrants is coming. You know what I'm saying? The immigrants is coming, brother.
Yeah.
Call ICE. You know what I'm saying? Call ICE, you know what I mean? No lie on that one, yo. All right, let's go. Wow, that's too long video. All right, hold on. Let me do a reset real quick.
Hey, oh my God. So the governor, shout out to the governor. He just, oh my goodness. Camille Wimbush, who is the niece, was the little niece with the attitude on the Bernie Mac show. Brown skin, beautiful woman at this point in her life. He says, oh, she goes to OnlyFans University. So I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. You see the link tree. And yeah, there she is. There she is.
No relation, though. No relation.
There she is. And I'm like, okay. But wow, man. Oh my God, there you go. You know what I mean? It's like it's one of those things where the world is so different now. It's a blessing and a curse because, again, young black men, young black boys growing up, they actually have all this material, quote unquote, that didn't exist. Did not exist, man. So wow, that is oh my God, the world, and people grow up so fast and the world is changing so quickly. And then you have someone who was in Hollywood as a star and should have had a whole avenue to go into more and more, roles and characters, and movies and films and TV, et cetera, et cetera. But this is what life has turned into. Man, damn. It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, she's been an OnlyFans model for a while now. You just now finding out?
Yeah, I'm just finding out. Holy shit.
My man, his heart broken, Rella. Help him out, Rella.
We just finding out that she was on OnlyFans.
Yeah. No, I'm my heart ain't broken. This was my life. So it's not like, to me, it's actually fairly normal for me.
Yeah, but it's when I saw her, because it was like you're used to seeing her on the Bernie Mac show, so when I saw her, I was just like, oh, she's grown up. Well, that's what
grown up and doing something strange for some change.
Word up, Bernie Mac rolling in his grave. Bernie Mac rolling in his grave. America.
Oh, God.
Not my baby, no. It's okay, black. It's okay, black majority. Don't try. No.
Hey, man. Hey, she's a blessing. I'm telling you right now, this woman's a blessing, man. She a blessing. I don't know what type of relationship she's in, but
I don't know how I feel about that.
Man,
I'm gonna just be quiet. Go ahead and let her be on the record.
Don't be quiet.
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna hush. I'm gonna hush because I went at because I was on social earlier and I was like, I went on the Black OnlyFans. I was like, oh. Oh, yay! There's something that went over here.
Yay! Come over on social if you want to see the Black OnlyFans, y'all. Know what I mean? SOXCIA.com. There you go. Don't rush it over there now. You know what I'm saying? Nasty knackers. Don't be spamming the post over there.
Look, no judgment going over here.
Oh, yeah, you already know. You already know, man.
Man, did y'all see that clip they got going around down in El Paso?
Excuse me. No. What's that about?
Shit, it's like thousands of immigrants just in that spot. Bomb rushing the border.
Yeah, it's over with, bro.
Yeah, this time.
42 expired now. And it's over with.
Yeah, it's over with. That's why I was telling y'all last week. Go get your provisions. You know, if water $3 a case right now, that shit $5 now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, go stock up. You know what I'm saying?
DJ, you stop chasing the women away with that Kevin Samuels shit, homie.
I ain't say nothing about that. No. I ain't say nothing. Happy Mother's Day, though, y'all. Happy Mother's Day, little black women. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie on that one, you know what I mean? But yeah, on that note, man, like I said, you know, what's going on with Title 42, though, that's some other shit. And I be trying to tell my peoples up here, but, you know, we don't care to listen, man. But, you know, give it I guess around next year, people will be been on woke up about it.
Man, that shit crazy. They all over the board. The border is thousands of them.
Mm-hmm. Don't lie on that one, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, I'll get to that, but let's listen to this real quick now, man. Shout out to Willie D real fast.
Okay, folks. Yeah, we getting into the silly portion of the weekend, so we're gonna go ahead and shut down the YouTuber. Thank you so much for coming out. Remember, SOXCIAL.com, social.com is the first 2 hours on social, exclusive. And then we switch over to YouTube after that till about this time. So thank you so much. Let your friends know, notification. Thanks for following us. Tell a bunch of people about it. And the most important part is plan to migrate to a black majority state. Plan to migrate to a black majority state. Plan to migrate to a black majority state. That is the only comprehensive, permanent solution for Black America. Peace.
But after the news hit the media, donations began to pour in.